go. It's episode 23. We got Jesse here. How's it going, man?
Yo, yo, yo. I'm doing all right.
All right, so you've been making your own music a lot. I see you posting on Facebook and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting. What are you making?
Currently right now I'm all over the place at the moment. So, what I have at the works in the moment is I'm actually trying to go a little bit harder with some of my more recent projects, but
Nice.
my past projects at the moment, I have about 5 things that I have under my belt, but I'm not going to release them yet. Just hitting different genres, basically showing what I'm capable, what I'm able to do, like on the guitars, the bass, the drums, vocals, basically trying to expand out to reach out to other artists, mostly, not really even fans, not really trying to blow up a fan base, but reaching out to other artists, other performers, things like that, other people that are just diligent in their diligent in their music as well, and then hopefully get something going from there, you know?
Oh, you're
And
trying
then
to spark up a collaboration or something and maybe turn it into a bigger project?
Correct. I mean, my final end game essentially is a band.
Yeah.
That's what I would essentially want to go to.
Yeah, that would be... Well, that's a hard thing to achieve, man.
Yeah, they say that. When I first started or whatever, that was my original goal, but a lot of the people that were trying to work with, they didn't really do much music themselves, and they always wanted to be the vocalist, and I was just really wanting to get something more serious. So when I found those more, I guess, serious artists, things like that, they already had their projects going, they already had all their bands going, they already had all their things already ready, and they didn't have much time for side projects, so
Yeah, sure.
it made it a little bit difficult for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get musicians into it because it's like, it's easy to play the instrument, but it's hard to sit down and actually play the song. I feel like with vocals, you almost have to have the structure in order to sing the words. You know, you almost have to have the song there in order to... You can't just fucking sing like a solo, you know, unless you do scat or something.
You get a lot of vocalists, people that call themselves vocalists. A lot of them, they don't do much train. They just like get a song and just start like trying to sing to it or scream to it, or never really know the foundation of the actual song itself, or never actually.
Sure.
It's more of a chance for them to want to show themselves, I guess, and not really want to make great music.
Yeah.
But it's just more of a, I don't know. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to make great music. A lot of people that are doing the same thing that I'm doing, essentially, that are just trying to find other artists as well too, other people to work with as well. Hopefully, if I can find those people specifically, I guess you can say, that's when I can probably start getting something going.
Yeah, it's fun to have like creative people all working together to make some stuff.
That's
like
music.
Yeah, it's like I was there with Arcanaut and Cytera, you know, like in some of their tracking sessions or some of their sessions where they're like trying to figure some shit out, and you know, it takes a lot of time, and you're sitting there, and sometimes it's boring. Sometimes you're just sitting there watching two people have a conversation about some shit you don't understand.
Or watching someone play a riff over and over and over again.
Yeah,
or just
and then somebody else like going like, oh, but what about that note?
But
and you're like,
when you can get all those people's minds together, like that's what some of the greatest music was made that way, essentially, is like, it's not some person comes up with the initial idea, the basic tune, the scale, or essentially, and then they start playing it, and then someone else throws their idea onto that scale, onto that tempo or whatever, and then another one throws their idea, and then that's how some of the best songs were made, were through several different minds, not just one person. And that's my goal, is because I know there's so much in music, there's so much that, like, one of the best feelings is when you make a song and you think it's done, but then someone else comes over and they're like, dude, just trust me on this, and they try something, they lay something down on that track, and you're like, oh my god, that's the missing piece, that's the thing I never heard from the very beginning, and that's the thing I wanted, and boom, that's great music to me.
But then you get like, there's the other side of the spectrum too, that like, to me, like, seeing it happen is like, it's almost funny to me, like it makes me laugh, but like, I've seen it in a way where Arcanaut was like trying to hash out a new song or something, you know, and then like after the song is over, Attila looks over and he's like, so how'd you guys like that part where I was like, instead of the da 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 da, I was like da 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 da. And they all look at him like, yeah, dude, that's good. That's good. Yeah, it was great. You know,
Yeah.
like nobody heard the difference, but he's like, yeah, I'm going to put it in there anyways. It's like, yes, good. So it's like you have all of that imagination that doesn't get understood.
Yeah, and a lot
injected
of stuff
into
get
it
noticed.
too.
A lot of things won't get noticed. A lot of some creative input, like I mean, in Attila's situation specifically, a lot of drummers, I guess you can say, a lot of people don't understand really drums that much. So whenever
dude, I don't.
yeah, and so when drummers think of like these incredible ideas, I feel like they tend to get most underrated. But yet, if you don't, it's almost the drummer that can make some of these most plain songs come to life. Like a lot of the times, a lot of like heavier riffs, you're just basically playing the drop C, drop B in a pattern. It's the drums that is bringing that thing to life, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, if there's songs that emphasize drums, like I definitely noticed that. Yeah. Like I immediately noticed that the drums are the center of this fucking song. Like,
I mean, Maynard from Tool, he used to even talk about how he didn't want to be the center of attention. He didn't want to be the front man of Tool. Yeah. So their pattern, they would even put the drummer in the front because he says, man, this is the most talented guy I know. Maynard would hide in the shadows because he would want everyone looking at the drummer instead because of how
dude, it's impressive.
He is. Yeah, dude, he's incredible. Man. But I mean, dude, Attila's amazing also. Like he's an incredible drummer too, man.
Yeah, any of those hard metal drummers, man. It's dude, crazy. Like it's just so fast and like
to get to that level, man. I'm practicing drums right now. See, that's the main thing with my music is I'm not a drummer. I'm not a guitar player. I'm not a bass player.
Yeah.
I'm a songwriter essentially, but I couldn't get a drummer. I couldn't get a bass player. I couldn't get a guitar player. I was by myself. So I learned each of these instruments essentially so I can make these songs. Like my drumming, I mean, don't get me wrong, I can drum to pretty much a metronome, but I'm not consistent with that double kick. I mean, overall, if you're gonna hear a song with a double kick in it, there's a good chance I'm probably editing that in.
Use Easy Drummer.
Well, see, that's the thing is I want to get better myself overall because I want everything to be able to be played live, essentially. And I know Easy Drummer, you can easily lay out a drum track on it and make it and then react it on
You can
drums.
click a button and probably get something pretty good.
But there's nothing more organic than actual, like, you're going to get those off times. You're going to get those, like, sometimes the pop will not be as powerful. And, like, if I would normally always prefer live instruments and then maybe drop some MIDI on top of it if possible. But yes, I mean, I went that MIDI drum route for the longest time. All of my first metal songs that I did back when I was in high school was all done with MIDI drums, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, you can make it pretty realistic.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you could literally just, like, hit a drum and record your own drum samples. Mm-hmm. Just hit it at different velocities.
And just pattern
and then,
like,
just patch that in at random, like, hits or whatever you want to do. Randomize it however you like.
I used to do that a lot. But, I mean, like I said, though, I want more organic feel, I guess, into it. Like if I had a drummer also that was able to play it, he would even think of new drum patterns that I can't even think of. Like he would put in new, like, for example, this song that you probably heard, the Victus, the one sample that I'm sending out everywhere.
Right.
That there's a part in the song where the drums feel very, very plain to me, but yet I couldn't do it any better myself. And I could just go in there and edit it, whatever, but then that takes the organic out of it. Yeah. So that's where I'm like, I wish I had a drummer to do that part, you know? And same with vocals, man. I don't like my singing. Like I'm not a singer. I don't prefer to sing. I usually would prefer someone else to sing for me.
Yeah.
But I just don't want a lot of fill-in vocalists. Like people that say, "Oh, I can sing but don't really sing." Like
fucking I'll sing for you. I can track here. I can track at my own house. I know how to do it.
Diligence is the main thing I need, man. So if you really want to like try vocals, I'd be welcome to track you at my house or try it out.
If you give me a song, like and like I know what you want out of it, just direct me, give me a little direction. I could pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, like, we'll definitely.
Just depends if you like my voice. That's it. If it matches your song, if it doesn't, tell me right away, dude.
Like I said, I'm very open to working with new artists. As soon as you even invited me onto this podcast, I even had ideas on what I can do more. What I can do more with you, what more we could probably make together potentially.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I thought of those ideas. I mean, I have there's a I have other ideas too. There's a singer as well that I would like to get on one of my tracks too. Mm-hmm. She's an amazing singer, but she's a bit young, so I don't know fully for if I want to use her or if I can maybe find another female singer as well too.
Yeah.
Or what's it called? There's another male singer. He's more of like a R&B-ish, like very smooth style vocals, like very. I don't know how to explain it. He does more like
modern,
like pop, I guess.
More modern kind of music.
He has like a Bieber feel to him, kind of like a Bieber feel, but his voice is amazing, and he's another person that I want to get on a track so bad, but he's just not diligent. He just doesn't.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby. No, he wants to do more, and I know he will. I mean, I know he could do amazing things. So eventually, if that day comes where he's like, screw this, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna be there to help him pretty much, because I know he's gonna do amazing things pretty much with his.
Yeah, man, you gotta be consistent. You gotta stick with it.
Mm-hmm. That's the main thing, is consistency. See, I wasn't consistent myself as well. I didn't have much of a foundation for myself. It was a similar case where people would say like, well, why don't I get noticed as much for my music or whatever? Well, I don't have much to show. I only have my old band's content, and that's about it. All my other songs are all on these other platforms that you can't even access nowadays anymore, because they're dead programs. I mean, not dead, they're dead sites, essentially. People don't go to them anymore. Right. Like MySpace, that's a good one. I dropped a lot of songs on MySpace back in the day.
Well, I mean, the way Facebook is going, people might go back.
I hope so.
Yeah, right. It'd have to be something new.
MySpace was cool, man. Those MySpace days were pretty awesome.
There's a lot. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember myself a lot. I've never been super huge into social media. Mm-hmm. I've always just gone on to social media for jokes.
Oh,
I just go to laugh.
Social media.
I hate the drama on social media, so I just don't deal with it. But
media specifically, I feel you on that.
Yeah, and like news and ads, and dude, I see through all that shit, and it's just annoying to me. Mm-hmm. But what I know is that I've seen arguments for how MySpace was better than Facebook, and how their systems were better, and how like the social aspect, and how like they set up messaging, and how you set your friends, and like all this was
MySpace felt like it was for you, and Facebook feels like it's for Zuckerberg. Like it seems like he's just wanting information about you, while MySpace, it was more about you. But I don't know. That's just my own personal opinion on it. I'm not really big in social media overall.
Yeah, it was pretty much, that's pretty much what I felt about it, as far as like watching those videos. Like, dude, they're all out there. Like, you could just look up like, how is MySpace better than Facebook? You know, so. I mean,
I miss that part. Facebook's trying, they're adding music and stuff like that. From what I remember, going to some profiles now, and I think you can see there's like a play button, I believe now, where you can hear some songs.
Ooh-wee. Like, I don't hear music constantly in my life anyways. Like, I'm ever going to look at somebody's profile to see what song they have.
Right, at least not using Facebook.
Like, Facebook made profiles obsolete pretty much. They like outdated themselves.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
They went past the profile.
My daughter would say, I don't know if it was, my daughter specifically said that Facebook's for old people.
It is. Well, that's the meme now. That's like the narrative right now. Mm-hmm. Facebook is for old people. Even Instagram. People are saying Instagram is for old people.
I wouldn't know, man. I mean, I just recently got on TikTok, and again, I don't know how to. I'm not big into like filming myself, or I'm not big into holding cameras and pointing it at myself, but I know if I don't do this, there's no way I'm going to be able to show any of my content as it comes out. So
that's what sucks about this big tech shit, is that there's only a couple options.
I miss
you either have this or that.
Face generation. Yeah. I miss where you can where you go to the shows, you throw out flyers, you meet people. Like, I'm a face-to-face kind of person.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I've never done any of these podcasts over Zoom. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll never do that, dude. No Skype interviews, nothing like that.
I'm good with
that.
Like,
face-to-face is so much cooler, man. Talking to people.
I would much rather be here than talk to you on a Zoom meeting.
Because I've seen podcasts that do that. They do like a FaceTime or whatever with the person, and like, it just kind of, it deteriorates the quality of the conversation, even like on a basic level.
Always, like, I mean, not only that, that's where you find the true intent of most people when you see them in person. When you use social media or phones and stuff like that, you can hide a lot of who you are through tech.
Well, yeah,
that's face to face. I mean, you're gonna know. You're gonna start. I mean, you can see. You're gonna see actions. You're gonna see body action. You're gonna see everything. I mean, you'll know people's more intentions in person, and you can
Right.
see if they're like cool guys, or if you can see if they're people that are chill that you want to hang out with. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it way more real.
But that's my situation. I'm pretty much going through right now. Is I'm learning the ins and outs of social media, pretty much.
Yeah, man, it's tough. And the only reason I would ever have a TikTok or anything like that would be to just post little clips of this podcast.
Dude, you should
But
do that.
I've got to get video first, you know.
Yeah,
So
no.
once I can't just do a clip of audio like
Dude,
that.
you would have so much content. You would just put one camera up, show it on the whole 2-hour conversation, and that one 2-hour conversation can give you like 6 to 8 like videos of content, like little 1 minute like snippet content. I think that'd be amazing. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I just
It would
gotta
help get you.
buckle down, get the discipline. Because like the reason I can do this and make it so consistent is because it's so easy to do. Like the editing is like so easy. It's like an hour.
I can't blame you though, because with way things have been going on lately, it's motivation is very low. Like it's not so much of people will probably do more when they have the intent for more, when they know that they're going to get more, I guess you can say. But what's the point when you don't think you're going to get anything out of it? Or what's the point when it's just going to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel almost like, for example, for you in singing, like you wanted to start singing or something like that. I mean, you have equipment, you could be singing and stuff like that, making projects or anything like that, but there's a low motive, you know. But if you have someone coming saying, hey, I want to hear you sing, hey, I want to hear you do something,
or
you know, you're gonna have more of that motive to want to sing for them, you know. You're gonna probably,
or even if you know there's going to be a product at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if I just,
that's the goal. That's the goal.
If I just
that's
sing
right
into
there.
a microphone, I could record myself singing, but then it's just a recording of my singing.
Yeah.
And it's like, if there's nothing to create from that, if there's no product at the end of the road, like why even take the journey?
The product is the motivation, essentially.
Yeah.
It's what makes you want to do the things you don't want.
But
to
how
do
high
in
are
the
you going to
music
set
industry.
that bar? How high are you going to set the bar? What is a product to you? Because a product to me is a really high bar, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like this podcast, I can set it pretty low and still feel pretty good about it.
See, that's
So,
I get that.
I can just do the audio and try to edit it the best I can. The last episode sounded really bad. I apologize to everybody about that. That was my mistake. But I'm going to try to do the best I can to make it sound like
bad. I did hear it last night. I listened to it. I mean, at the very beginning it was a bit rough, and then I just started listening through it.
It's okay. It's just I did my best to clean that one up, but I'm going to be getting better at this. I think this one's going to sound amazing cuz I'm running it through this new Yamaha board.
Mm-hmm.
But
is that your stop when it comes to like trying to make a finished product? Is you feel like the product is still not worth releasing or it's not worth presenting yet? Is that like, for example, when you're saying when you want to like record your vocals or something like that, and
I have no goal in mind. Like I know that I can hit notes and I know that I can sing pretty clearly and clean. Like I can do clean vocals. I've tried to do screams, and this is just me practicing like in my truck while I'm driving. Like why not? Why not try it out? Everybody tries.
Yeah.
When you're alone, everybody tries to sing. Like
Yeah.
I don't care what you say.
Karaoke,
Everyone has
shower
tried
karaoke.
to sing.
Yeah.
So it's
But-
not like dancing. Some people have never tried to dance.
I guess for my situation when it comes to working on songs, a lot of the reason why I don't have a final product is because I'm very discontent with my product that I'm working on at that moment.
Yeah.
And I'll be stuck on it. Like, I'm not going to lie. The song that I'm planning to release pretty soon here, Victus, I was stuck on it for months because it was not good enough to me. And it's still, even what I'm releasing now, it's still not good enough to me. But a homie once said that you just settle. You just settle and release it anyways because it's still more than what the person next to you did.
Yeah,
eventually you're gonna just get better as you keep doing it. The more you do it, and then not only that, eventually something that you might not be content with is still gonna be very, like, picked up by the audience. You know, it might be something that people really want to hear, and you just think it's bad. Like you're the only one that thinks it's bad.
Oh yeah, dude. I think one of the biggest mistakes that artists have is like they're content.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, this is
No,
good.
we always could do
This
better.
this is good. I'm gonna release it. This is perfect.
But
Like,
that's the
no,
thing.
no,
Is
no,
you could
no.
always
You shouldn't
do better.
feel that way. You should never feel that way. Like you should always be a little uncomfortable about something, because then your next project, you're gonna fucking do that much better, and then there's gonna be something else you gotta work on. You know, that's where the inspiration comes from. I feel like,
Dude, I feel
is all
that.
those little things you didn't do right. Like, are you gonna do them better next time?
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know,
mean,
so-
every single project I release, I have a lot of discontent for, but I also believe that that might just be a little outlook that I have at the moment, because I know in my own head I can do better, and I know in my mind that I will do better, I guess. So whenever you release something with that mindset, knowing you can do better, it's almost like, then why didn't you with that project?
Yeah, right.
Why couldn't you then? But
Yeah.
if I did, then I would never release anything again. Like, there's always something I can do better, and I know there is.
Yep.
It's gotten to the point where I am now officially doing everything from scratch. Everything. I've gone down from the bare bones. I would lay out a drum track. I would lay down a bass track.
So is that what you're doing first? Drums?
So I would, well, depends on what comes in my head. I mean, a lot of times I don't just start playing something on a key and then start making an instrumental out of that. Most of my songs, I hear them in my head first.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just get stuck there. And so the only way I can get them out of my head is to put them onto a track.
Maddening, isn't it?
Yeah,
I have the same
incredibly.
thing, dude. I have the same curse.
Incredibly.
Like the music just plays in my head, and it's all
It's like a
original.
loop almost,
I
and-
can't recognize any of the songs, but they
It's-
just play.
It's so much more hard to be attentive to my family, or because I'm too busy focused on this, and I know it's not healthy for me to be keep constantly thinking of this if I'm like having dinner with my kids and wife, and we should be socializing or something. So
Yeah.
instead, like, I'll jump straight to that room, and I'll at least lay down that sample, or at least what I'm hearing. And if that's all I needed to do, sometimes I will never go back to that project again. And so that sample is down, it's out of my head, good.
Yeah.
But then there's other samples where I'll lay them down, like I'll drop it on the guitar, or I'll drop it on the drums, depending on where I hear it 1st, and I'm like, I need to continue this.
Then the OCD kicks in.
Yeah, then
like,
it's
this
like,
isn't
dude,
perfect.
There's more to this. Well, no, that's when I lay down. So I would, like, an example for Victus, I did the drums first.
Yeah.
But it was the guitar I heard in my head, but I needed to know how I was gonna rhythm out the guitar.
Yeah, okay.
So I did the drums first, and then I played what I heard in my head on the guitar.
It's almost like a
dropped
click
that
track.
second. Yeah, exactly. Well, I
Yeah.
used it as like my metronome, but at the same time, I wanted rhythm. Metronome's great, but when you can hear an actual kit playing and you play guitar to that, that's when you feel like you're jamming.
Yeah.
You know? So
Okay.
I laid the drums first, and then I laid the guitar out, and then I laid the bass out, and then I did all the MIDI on top of it, so strings, some other synths, things like that, pads, and then I dropped the vocals on top of that. Then I mix it as to the best of my ability. I'm not an engineer for the life of me, but I mean, I did my best on mixing, and then
There's a lot of knowledge out there for free.
yeah. Oh, and I'm taking it. I mean, for the most part, I don't think I'm bad at mixing. Actually, I'm getting there. I'm getting close to industry standards for mixing. I'm getting there, but there's still a lot more I could
Dude,
learn.
vocals are tough.
Vocals?
Because the reason vocals are tough is because as human beings, you've evolved to just listen to people talking.
Yeah.
And like you grew up listening to people talking, and you could tell when it's not right.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, I guess
A distorted
I see that.
guitar sounds like a distorted guitar, whether it's distorted that way or this way.
But see, that's where EQ is great. I mean, with EQ, there's more. I mean, EQ, you don't want to just EQ out the bad noise you don't want, I guess you can say. With
Yeah.
EQ is when you can really put these things into place, I guess you can say. So for like vocals, I mean, vocals to me, it's not so much of it's hard, it's more of tedious for me, because of I want to perfect it, you know? That's the main thing. But if you mess around with your EQ enough on it or something like that,
Yeah.
or you can create that telephone effect, or you can create that radio effect, essentially.
Yeah.
And it helps it. It makes things a little more easier for yourself when you want to then, okay, so you basically create a radio effect, compress that, and then EQ it after again with like vocal EQ. It makes things a little bit easier for me, I guess you can say.
Right.
And then for guitar, I will just cut out all the dead noise. I'll EQ out the high dead noise, and EQ out the low dead noise, essentially. Bring out the mids more, because essentially that's the guitar range.
A big thing is like during certain parts, you got to make sure like the mids of the vocals and the mids of the guitars aren't stepping on each other.
Yeah, that's when you do frequency dips.
Yeah, you gotta really like pay attention to that. Even in certain parts, like if you switch the plug-in on the guitar for a solo or something, like you got to make sure that the solo isn't
You can
stepping
automate
on
EQ as well,
anything
too.
else.
But overall, you do frequency dips. So like if your vocals sit at if you like a certain frequency of your vocal and you're bringing that up. So then on if you have a master track, or like not a master track, but if you have a instrumental track on a track, or you just made an instrumental or whatever, you just dip it at the frequency range around just ever slightly around the range of your vocals, and essentially makes it stand out more.
You ever automate your EQs?
Oh yes. There's times you would automate your EQ essentially if you, like you say, like solos, or if you ever want the solo to take the lead out of, like, you would then bring the frequency of the vocal back to normal or whatever, and then you would bring the guitar frequency, well, that one you want more abrupt essentially, and then you switch it back once that part's over, essentially, with the automation. Automating's fun.
It gets pretty crazy. Yeah, when I was going to Crass and they did the automation lesson, it was just like, everybody was just like, what the fuck? It was like opening a brand new book. Dude, you know, you're just like, Jesus Christ, there's so much to this.
Automating reverb, automating delay, automating, what's it called? The pitch shifters, frequency shifters, phasers, automating any of these things that can create some crazy...
That's where all the hours and hours of work in the studio come in. Like, adding all those effects on. And fucking...
That's where it's... That stuff is fun for me. The most miserable part of making music for me is editing, clipping out dead air, cleaning up pitches. Like when you're singing or something like that, you're gonna go a little bit flat on the beginning, on the entrance, or you're gonna go a little sharp or whatever. You just got to tighten those basically up. And,
what do you use for that?
The one I'm using is horrible. It's FL Stock Pro plugin. It's called, oh man, it's not Pitch Shifter. It is Newtone. There we go, Newtone. And I hate it. I hate Newtone. It's
just a copy of like some sort of...
I actually have a better one, but I can't remember the name of it right now. I just was too lazy to download it. Like I just figured I had Newtone already installed and I don't have this one installed, so I just decided to go with Newtone. And Newtone's, it's not really good at finding your pitch. Like right at the very beginning, you literally have to bring your pitch back to where it's supposed to be, because it'll move it like very consistently. And it's not because of how you're singing. I've tested that even with better singers. It literally was Newtone for me.
Yeah, it's just like a not the perfect program.
I think it's just something you're just supposed to use if you don't have like another kind of pitch correction.
Probably for simple stuff.
But maybe it works. It works all the same like any other one. You can work with the, what's it called? You can change the frequency of the pitch. You can change the note of the pitch. I mean, it works all the same. They're all the same. It's just, it's not good with its exported sound. Like there's a lot of artifacting that comes out when you bring it back out. And that's the part that frustrates me.
Have you ever used Melodyne?
Melodyne, no. That's like, another pitch correction
It's like the other option if you don't want to use Auto-Tune. It's like the competitor for Auto-Tune.
I do have Auto-Tune. I don't use it though. I haven't used it yet.
I think you either use Auto-Tune or Melodyne. Like
I'm gonna use Auto-Tune. It's a fun plugin.
Crass,
it's good for effects.
Crass taught us Melodyne.
Melodyne's a good software.
Dude, it's crazy. They showed us some really weird shit. Like they gave us a track of a saxophone, and we took it. You could just highlight it and then like click clarinet, and it just makes it sound like a clarinet instead.
What?
You're like, what the fuck just happened?
Can you do that with vocals?
Yeah, dude.
You can change the vocals into like a instrument?
I mean, you can click the setting. I don't think
it's
gonna
like sound. I don't think it's gonna. No, I don't think
it's gonna sound like a fucking cartoon character.
That'd
I'm sure.
Great though. That'd be a dope effect or something. Throw that in a bridge or something.
Well, that's how the auto-tune sound started. Auto-tune wasn't made to make you sound like a robot, but people use it anyways, and that just became popular.
It was T-Pain, wasn't it?
Yeah, T-Pain. Well, he kicked it off. I'm sure he wasn't the first.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. There was. I mean, what's it called? Daft Punk. They had a song with auto-tune in it as well too. But he's the one that like basically made it like the social norm almost.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cool. It's like how people do the phase shift on pop vocals, like in the 80s and 90s.
It's smoking mirrors now, because then now with auto-tune as well, there's a lot of people you don't know if they're really as good of a singer as they make themselves out to be it. And then there's some of them that are amazing singers, but you can't see that because the auto-tune is.
But it doesn't matter unless they're on the stage.
Yeah, by far.
If you make it, if
number 1 point.
Well, the ultimate golden rule of music:
getting on that stage.
If it sounds good, it is good.
Yep.
It's like
Some
if it
people
sounds
can't
good,
hate.
it is good. It's like a piece of artwork.
That's the thing that, music is music regardless. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm a hater. I'm a hater when it comes to a certain kinds of music because
I'm picky.
I'm very picky. I like things. I like more live instrument types. I like people with big vocal ranges. I don't like repetitive style songs, things like that. So I tend to be a little more picky. I'm a hater, but I understand also the talent that went into a lot of these projects. The ability that the fact that they can put themselves in front of a crowd is bigger than what most people see. That's the thing about what people say. Do you have it in you? Are you an artist? Are you going to be able to? Do you have that ability to take your art and shove it into a big crowd, shove it into a bunch of people? Do you have that ability to be this image essentially that people can see? And that's a lot of the things that people don't have. They have the talent, but not
need that though. That's the thing.
I used to believe that
you don't have to perform on a stage. You don't.
Oh, it's not just stage. That was just a metaphor, basically.
Yeah, you don't have to perform in front of anybody. Yeah, you can make music in a closet and never do any music outside of that closet, and you could still make money with it.
A lot of them still get noticed though. There's a reason why a lot of them still get noticed. Like a lot of the times when people, I mean, I don't know a lot, so I mean, but I just go based off my own personal experience. But I've seen a lot of artists, people that would repeat that process, essentially just making only music, but not putting themselves out there as a person. They're not talking on camera. They're not putting themselves like meeting people. They're just making music.
Yeah, you're talking about marketing the music, doing the actual business.
Well, it's not just marketing. It's just what I'm saying is putting yourself out there. That's just the hardest part, is making yourself be noticeable. In that case, it's like standing out or whatever, or being like, if this one producer is making all this music and this other producer is making all this music, but one is making videos, very exclamatory videos saying, hey, what's up, man, shoot, check out this new beat I just dropped, yo, and this other guy is just literally only just dropping beats, not saying a word. There's a good chance that guy that's like, yo,
I'm not factoring in the success of the artist. I'm just factoring in what is music, what is art, what is the music, itself. What is the good music.
That's the fame.
Like, you don't have to market yourself to be a good musician, to make good music.
Yeah,
you can make amazing art and never show it to a soul, but it doesn't matter how you made it. That's what I'm saying. Like, you could use auto-tune and make your fucking cat sound like a robot and add his sample in there. Like, it doesn't matter.
But going back to what you were saying about whatever puts you on that stage, essentially, well, that's what it is. It's showmanship.
Yeah.
A lot of these people have showmanship. They have that image. They have that thing that stands out. Those people when they're on that stage, they can rile up a crowd. That's that attractiveness.
Oh, yeah. Those people make money.
There are some amazing, talented
artists.
Those
people make money for sure.
No, not all of them. No, I worked with a few artists that were amazing artists. Like, they had showmanship and everything, but they're not making money. One of them, he's actually I believe he's an owner of like a smoke shop, I believe, but his performances are great.
But is his goal to make money with the music?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, there you go. That's not what I'm talking about.
His goal was, I believe, showmanship. I mean, just the art of hip hop, like the art of underground hip hop. I believe that's more of just his passion.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did a lot of work. I mean, when I did work with him, he's an amazing artist. I definitely loved his music. And when he was on a stage, he killed it every single time. Dude. And that was showmanship.
I know a guy who does it for showmanship in the metal scene, and he's this older dude. His name is Bob Ball. Shout out to that dude, an absolute adversary. Dude, those guys are nuts on stage. This guy, he gets on stage with the mic. He's like bald. He's got a gray beard, and he goes nuts with this microphone, and he like smashes his head with the microphone. And he ends up bleeding out of his forehead, and like he sings through the blood, and it gets crazy.
Does
like,
he hit the same scar every single time he does it?
Like, somewhere on his forehead or his eyebrow. Like, I don't fucking know how he does it. Like, it's not important. It's just the important part is that every show he's explicitly told us, like, outside the show that night, he's like, yeah, dude, I do that every show. I try to make it bleed. Like, I do that for the crowd, man. Like,
so I mean, it works though.
Yeah,
see,
go wild, man.
People love to see that. Like,
it's
that's
crazy.
The thing.
That's his thing.
That's the showman, I believe. That's where I feel like that's what people, where they say that, because there's a lot of talented people I know. A lot of people that can rip on a guitar. A lot of people that like tear up a bass, tear up the drums. Like, they're incredible artists, but that's all they are, is is an artist. And don't get me wrong, I would still love to work with these people and create something with them, but they lack that showmanship that gets them the attention that they deserve, essentially. And that's where I feel like that makes this industry hard. That's like me. I lack that, I guess, that oomph, that thing that puts you in front of that makes them go, hey, I'm gonna check him out, dude. He's crazy. Like, and so I guess to put it shortly, I'm looking for that place. I'm gonna eventually try to find that place.
Out of all of your ideas, as far as like from a marketing standpoint and not music. So besides your music, like how you would have fun expressing it or showing it off to people, what's the one that would be like unique that would like make people like, what the fuck is this guy doing? You know, whether it's bad or good, if it fucking raises eyebrows, like people are gonna look at you.
Yeah,
you know, so you gotta be weird. Like even if you don't think like people aren't gonna like this, but is it weird as fuck?
Motives.
Like, is it strange? Is anybody else doing this? You know, like
it's
like Steve-O taped himself to a billboard to promote his movie that was coming out. You know, like he tapes himself to a billboard in LA, like he was the advertisement.
Dude, Steve-O's
like,
still Steve-O, man.
Just do some wild shit. Like, not everybody's gonna like that. Yeah. People are gonna be like, "What the fuck is this crazy guy doing?"
But I mean, Steve-O knows how to turn heads, though. He knows how to make.
He turned the heads of people who weren't even his audience. Like, you know, that's him. Like that's an extreme example, but you got to think of your weirdest fucking idea and like raise some eyebrows.
See, that's the thing is a lot of these but that's what I feel is a lot of these artists that are blowing up, some of them, I mean, it's not my place to really say, but I mean, I'm just going to talk on this podcast basically.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But I feel some of them don't really have that music talent, but they have that showmanship.
Yeah.
They're like really good at drawing in crowds, but they can't sing.
Well,
they can barely rap.
These are two different games, though. The game of making like music that sounds good on your ears and pleasant and perfect and like fucking Pink Floyd perfection kind of shit, you know, like how they spent their lives creating this fucking masterpiece work.
But Pink Floyd,
and
you
like,
can just watch
then
them
you,
play.
Then you get people who just throw a beat on and rap into auto-tune and then they release it and still get millions of views. And it's like, you know, that's two different games.
Yeah.
Playing the marketing and the industry game and then actually making music. Those are way different games, dude.
Yep.
You can't combine those, really.
To be 100% honest, I think I'm more on that actual music side. I think about the idea of how I could be a showman, like how I could put myself out there more, but in the end, when in the grand scheme of things, when I'm finally making that video or when I'm finally like trying to do something, I focus more on the music in the end. Yeah. Like I focus on how can I present this music the best. Like I never end up doing that dumb idea that I should do where I put up like a towel on my head and say, hey, I got this dude coming into my studio today and he's like new or whatever, and then just like play that character walking through the room. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I heard you got this studio going, let me check it out.
Yeah, do a skit.
Like,
you gotta get like somebody who wants to make it funny for you or something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know what would be perfect is if I got a band and we found that showman. You know, we found that guy, that front man that's amazing at singing and then he's also crazy wild. That would be perfect. I mean, that would work. He would know how to build up an audience, and I could just focus on music. You know?
Yeah, that would be cool, man. Yeah, but it's like I know that Black Dahlia, when they performed, their manager used to go out in a gorilla costume, just fucking, you know, mosh with everybody and shit. Like, I can imagine something like that, you know.
I just went to I went to a Bring Me the Horizon concert, and they were playing with Grandson and Knocked Loose, and this band Knocked Loose, they're
Attila told me about Knocked Loose. He showed me them.
Dude, they're so good, and they're inspiring me to pretty much kind of go back towards that direction again. I mean, I'm not as heavy as Knocked Loose, but I mean, I used to make harder music, and that's what inspired. I love breakdowns. Breakdowns are
that's why I can't get into hardcore because it's too like rhythmatic. It's too
that's
like
what I love.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
you know, it's like too like. I don't know.
If I ever started a band, a hardcore band or whatever, it would be like that. But other than that, I think the band I'm more looking for would probably be more like a little more heavier neighborhood or darker neighborhood, maybe like a not so R&B-ish Chase Atlantic. I guess. But other than that, like, that's more my ideal band. But I would love to start a hardcore band. Like, I know I wouldn't turn down a hardcore band in a half a second. And, like, if someone was like, "Yo,
the energy is good," dude, I like the energy.
That's what it is. Like, I mean, you don't even, when you're in a hardcore band, I almost feel like you don't need to be that showman anymore. Like, because the music is doing it for you. Like, when I saw Knock Loose, he was just getting into his music, man, and they were just amazing to watch because of it. Like, they were just pumped because of their music.
Yeah, that's what's cool. Like, when you see artists who are playing music that they are jamming out to themselves.
Yeah,
like,
well, he was
they're
freaking,
not just
he was
playing
throwing
it
fists
as
on the stage, man.
Yeah,
it was great. It was so great. But yeah, I mean, I if I could start a hardcore band, I would go that direction as well too. But right now, I'll take what I can get.
I've always had a dream of being in like a doom metal or like a groove metal band. You know, doing like the long, drawn out vocals,
those
like with the
trigger
super,
drum kicks, like
super, yeah, and the super heavy reverb where you're just singing and like you sound like you're 1,000 miles away.
What's an example? What's a
one I've been that I listen to a lot, and I think they should be way bigger than they are. Is it's called Demonic Death Judge.
Demonic Death Judge.
Yeah, it's a Finnish groove metal band.
I'm probably gonna be
they're
looking that
so fucking heavy. They're like Pantera at a quarter speed, almost. Like, it's like really groove. Like, they have like really solid like blues kind of grooves, but it drones and it's so heavy.
But
and
it's really fast.
If you like pump the bass,
no, you said it's a quarter. That's
well, even the drums aren't that fast.
Okay.
So it's like, you know, it's like you know, it's like some really slow fucking breakdowns, and the vocalist just sounds like he's screaming from 1,000 miles away. It's just echoes, and it's just huge. It makes it sound like you're in a canyon.
I'm gonna try that.
It's so cool. And then there's other bands like Electric Wizard. It's an old one. They're more like Black Sabbath kinda, but they're like a slow groove metal, like doom. Like, it makes you feel like there's a fucking god coming to swallow the world.
I wonder if they do vocal walls. Well, I don't know if that's the right term for it. What do you mean? I'm not trained in any forms of engineering, but where you drop your lead vocal in, and then your dub, you basically fatten out the dub, and then you fatten out your next dub. It's basically all your dubs, you're fattening them out more each time to where it creates like a vocal wall, essentially, where like I don't know how to explain it, where your vocal's just so like fat, it sounds like you're like screaming in all directions or whatever.
Well, that's the thing is, in like doom metal, the vocals are like the background. They're like way in the back. In fact, a lot of the songs, like, you can't even hear what he's saying.
So
almost.
yeah, no. So
like,
it's about the guitar.
Yeah, it's way about the guitar and the bass.
Gotcha.
The bass is the very center. Like,
that's
the
a lot of those bands tend to
is fucking boosted. So if you're in a car, like, it's really good for a car, because if you turn the bass up in your car and then turn on like Demonic Death Judge, like, you can hear the bass, like the fucking bass line just grooving, but it's fucking rumbling your car to the groove of the bass, and it's just like, dude, this is fucking sick.
After
like,
this podcast, I'm gonna have to get that name again, because I'm very
it's
curious
good.
about it.
I'll definitely hand that. Like,
super curious.
That one's good. I need to get some merch from those dudes.
So are they like local then, or?
Oh no, they're from Finland.
Oh, well, you did say that.
Yeah, they're local in Finland, I guess.
I gotcha.
I don't know. They do tours and shit. They're big in Europe.
See, I still like poppy sound though. Like, I liked, if I could, I would still, I guess, prefer more of a kind of like a Bring Me the Horizon kind of thing, where they're still heavy, but they're like the heaviest thing in the pop genre almost, instead of the lightest thing in the hardcore scene. They brought heavy to the pop genre, and something like that would be great. Like, I think that's more of my mindset, I guess you can say, is like what Linkin Park did essentially. But Linkin Park, I don't want to do more of that. I don't want that kind of style.
They kind of brought
metal. There you go.
Rap to new metal.
But what I'm saying is, though, they brought a heavy style to pop, and that's more of what I guess would be cool if I can find that sound, essentially.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, that kind of genre.
Well, it's not the genre. There's a lot of different genres that do that.
Dude, the genres are dead. I say that all the time on this podcast, dude. The genres don't exist anymore. It's just it's just people making music, whatever they want to make, and you kind of like have to fit it into genres.
There is, the genres are basically now placed by more of the audience. It seems.
It's like an index of like, what am I looking for?
I mean, there still needs to be some forms of organization, so it helps that a bit.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, like back in the 80s, or like 90s even, I feel like there was like a lot of music that was like, we're gonna be this type of band.
And they never go that direction, or what?
Well, no, they do.
Oh.
Like that's what it. Maybe that's just because that's what's filtered out over the years is the genres that are defined. But because I wasn't alive in the 80s, obviously. But so it was like maybe it seems like they were like, okay, we're gonna be a hair metal band. And that's what they were. Nowadays it's like, we're gonna make music. And it's like, whatever the music you make, you're like, okay, what genre are we? I don't fucking know.
There's still people that do end up gluing to their genres, but I know 100% what you're talking about. Like, there's this group called it's a woman. It's a woman called Sick Brain, and she's like a heavy vocalist. She screams on more like hip hop, more lighter, or like pop punk style instrumentals. Like she did things like with Sway Lee, so it's like definitely it's a genre. It's just a genre breaker for sure. She is like screaming in the hip hop genre, and then there's other people that are bringing hip hop into the pop punk genre as well too. An example, Sway Lee. Genres are dying. It does seem like they are dying, but at the same time, it's cool. It's cool to see new styles of songs coming out from it. Oh yeah. Like there's some. Oh my gosh, I'm not a big fan of Machine Gun Kelly, but an example, I did like Tentacion's work. I did like how he's really good at hip hop, but at the same time, he can get very emotional and make very poppy style, emotional, sad music that is very good. Like it resonates with a lot of people. So
yeah.
But then I don't know. Then there's other artists that just butcher it.
Yeah, that world is totally foreign to me.
Like for example, I'm not a big fan of Machine Gun Kelly. He's doing that whole thing where he's like breaking genre. He calls himself a rapper with a guitar, but he's not really a rapper anymore.
He's trying to be relevant. Which is what most celebrities do.
He knows how to do it, though. I mean, you can't hate on him for it because
how long has he been famous?
He's doing it. I mean, he's been at it for a long time.
Yeah.
But you said how long he's been famous?
Yeah.
A few years now.
I feel like that's a factor.
Yeah, no, but he has been at it for a long time.
I feel like that's a factor. How long have you been famous? Was it like 15 years?
No,
10,
he wasn't even famous for that long.
I think he was
known. He was known as a hip hop artist, and he had a following, but he wasn't like huge or famous. It wasn't until he had that beef with Eminem that's when he blew up worldwide, essentially.
Yeah, when did that happen? Like 10 years ago? It was 2022.
Good question. I know.
I don't know.
I thought it was a few years ago. I thought it happened around the time I was in Paradolia, but I don't know. I could be off.
I'm not sure. I don't have a Jamie, so can't figure that out. Yeah. But yeah, man, I feel like it matters. Like, how long are you known for your music? Like, I feel like that has to affect your brain.
Well, he actually started in hip hop, so even when he changed, his whole pop punk phase or whatever, that's all fresh. I mean, actually no, he didn't. He started in a punk rock band, if I remember correctly. But I mean, he started his his come up, I guess, as a hip hop artist, and then he went back to that punk essentially after that. He went back to that punk image, and then it worked. Like, it pretty much worked. But he wasn't famous for that, I guess you can say. He didn't become famous until he started doing that, essentially, where he did a bunch of covers first when COVID. Yeah, around the time, wasn't it when COVID started? When he started doing all those covers for Paramore, things like that, and that's around the time.
I remember his name floating around way before COVID.
Oh yeah, no, his name went as a hip hop artist though.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
He was a hip hop artist, like that's what he was known for. But when he switched over to this punk pop scene, essentially, that's when he blew up worldwide.
Well, I mean, if he's making the music, then like he could probably do something with it, you know.
He's doing it. That's the point. Is he's doing, whether people hate on him or not, he's doing. He knows what the audience wants. He knows how to be a front man, a showman. He knows how to do all of it. So you can make it work.
I feel like he's never gonna be broke.
I mean,
he's got the name, dude. He has a name.
That it depends on how they spend, man. It's crazy.
That's true. It depends
There's
on
a lot
how you
of artists
spend. That's the final nail in the coffin, isn't it? How much money are you spending?
I'm hearing about a lot of these young hip hop artists that around the time they blew up, now they're running out of the money that they got from that time they blew up. So
yeah, I'm sure it happens, dude. You're not trained in finances when you're a rapper.
Well, you have managers and everything like that. See, that's part of my goal essentially is not, it's to get a team. It's not just a band, but I mean, a band is the main end goal, but if possible, a band, a manager, just a team to support each other and help each other build. Because that's how it works, is when you have more people together to help each other build, that's how it builds.
Well, I'm going to tell you one of the most important variables I've learned is you got to have the same goal.
Yeah.
If you do not have the same goal, it will explode in your face.
I think that's a lot of the reason why I'm alone, or why I'm not working with a lot of artists, is because I don't have, my viewpoints still, I don't share them with just every single person that wants to sing. Like, again, there's a lot of people I have to turn down, unfortunately. And it breaks my heart because I don't want to, because I know they could be talented. They could have actually skill to them, but I don't see this. Like, you can't just tell me, hey, I'm a singer, I could sing for you, and I've never even seen, or you don't even drop any projects at all, nothing. I've never seen it before, so how do I know this? Like, you don't even work in music, like, you don't do anything with music. Right. Nothing at all. So how am I supposed to know what you can or can't do? I mean, if you show even forms of involvement, or even shows forms of commitment towards a project somewhere in music, that would be enough for me to want to see what more you could do. But if you're not offering anything but expecting to get that treatment, I guess you can say, I don't work well with that. So I do turn down a lot of artists, unfortunately.
Have something to prove it.
But I have turned down a lot of people, a lot of the ones that just basically don't do anything in the music industry. I'm not saying that they're lazy people. These are grinding people. I mean, these are people that work hard on their lives, but it's not music-wise. So as long as it's not...
You got to take priorities into account. That's for sure. Because some people are just going to prioritize their regular ass job over everything, and it's like, well, I don't want that person in my project.
You working on a podcast is enough to show someone that you're interested in music, I guess you can say. So that's enough to see what more can someone even do with that, I guess you can say.
This podcast is almost all about music.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's beyond the sound. But all in all, I need that diligence, I guess, same thing, because for myself, it's very hard to commit myself. It's very hard to want to keep doing this every single day, knowing that I'm going to post this video that I spent the last couple hours on editing, working on, or whatever, and I'm going to post it, and knowing that no one's going to give a damn about it releasing regardless. It is demoralizing, but at the same time, I got to keep doing it. This is me. Music is me. I need to keep doing this. Yeah. So that's where I need to find other artists that feel that way, that think that way, that understand that same concept, basically. And that's the thing that I don't think most people get. They always dream of stardom, and I'm not looking for even stardom. I don't even want to be rich. I want to be content. I want enough money to where I can pay my bills.
My goal is to not go to some bullshit job for 40 hours a week. That's my goal, dude. I don't want to I don't want to work for a fucking company, dude. That's
I don't need to be rich. I don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I can't work companies, corporate companies, even same deal. It's really hard because you're helping someone else make their dream come true.
Yeah. At a much bigger fucking profit margin.
Yeah,
way
devaluing you.
Yeah, no shit.
That's
how I'm feeling right now.
All right, well, I'm gonna take jabs at the cannabis industry right now. Actually, that's the best example.
Yeah, go for it. Tell us about the cannabis industry.
All the bud tenders are underpaid. I believe they are all underpaid. But at the same time...
What's the average, would you say?
I mean, they're minimum wage. They're treated like Burger King employees, pretty much.
15 or 12?
Less than that.
12?
I think the minimum, I think the minimum I saw someone sign on for was $13.50. But the thing is, though, what they tell you is your tips are the thing that make it worth it. Your tips are the thing that essentially build your income, that make it where you can pay your bills. But
that's shady.
It is. It's all shared. It's all pretty much shared. So any
tips are shared?
Yes. So it's all hourly. So if you are an employee that you could have done the best like sales that day, got the most tips, but if you aren't working those hours, someone else is going to get those tips. You're going to get less of that.
So is that across the board they're shared, or is
across the board to the back office as well too?
Dispensaries out there who tip to the
there are dispensaries out there that actually they fight for their employees, and I don't want to say names. I'm not going to say names of any of the dispensaries, but I mean actually no,
you can talk good. Yeah, you can talk good about
Zenleaf
dispensaries.
is an amazing dispensary.
Which one?
Zenleaf is an amazing dispensary. They took care of their employees. Like it got to a point where like there was a point where they were helping they were giving them the majority of the tip as much as they could until the laws pretty much told them they couldn't anymore, and then even then they tried to shift percentages as much as they could to give the original employees the money they earned.
What's the law?
I don't know. I'm not.
There's a law on tips like that?
There's either a law or there's rules or something for the dispensaries. I'm not 100% sure. It's like an Arizona rule or something.
Or something.
Maybe it is. I still think it's really dumb though. But outside of that as well, they're paid very little. They don't get all their percentage of tips. And they grind. Like it's not easy. Like as much as people think, oh, it's an amazing job to be able to work at as a bud tender, it's not all glorious.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
It's really not glorious. I used to
hear it all the time.
They're treated like Burger King employees. They're treated like McDonald's employees. They're treated like, and it's the amount of knowledge you have to go through to be able to sell cannabis.
Well, I've gone to dispensaries and like the bud tender does not talk to me for shit. I'll literally be asking questions and they won't say shit.
There are some dispensaries where they're hiring
and I think it depends on the person, because I'd go to the same dispensary and get a bud tender who will talk to me about weed for an hour or if I let them, and it's like, okay, dude, I gotta go. Thanks.
You're gonna get those ones that talk to you for an hour. They're not gonna do that in a year.
Those are the dudes I drop a $5 bill in the bin for. I want them to get that $5 bill.
They don't get it. That's the thing. Well, it depends on how many hours they work. I mean, if they're working most of the hours, but by the end of that year, there's a good chance if you run back into that employee again, he's just gonna give you what you need. He's not gonna talk about it anymore. He's not gonna offer anything anymore.
It's possible. I feel like it depends on that work environment.
And that's what I'm saying.
Are they like, rewarding people for being good?
I guess this is more of my jabs at corporate, and this is how the corporate is infecting the cannabis industry. But my point towards corporate and all these people that run these big corporate jobs is they devalue you. They devalue you big time, but make you think that you are the most important thing in the company. But they devalue you.
You're an expense.
You are. You're literally an expense. All they care about is making sure that they are getting their money for their dream, like their goal. They had an ambition in this life. They built it, and they needed you to make that happen. And if they didn't need you, they'll just grab someone else to do it, And I don't know. I think it's wrong. I feel like that's why I try to dodge that direction. I want to be able to build something myself one day.
Yeah, man.
Like that's what I need to do one day.
Well, a lot of people, I feel like, got into that industry with the goal in mind that they're going to make money, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the value. The value is the product and the money. Well, I'm going to find whoever I need to get my money.
I mean, it starts off with a dream, but most of the time it's how you can make money for that dream, because that's the thing. You can't live off of a dream. Well, so some people create a dream, but they're like, okay, well, this is my dream. How do I make money on it? That's how these corporate things start.
I don't know, man. I feel like you got that a little backwards. I feel like there's probably some people that are I need a community based on selling weed, and I'm gonna make the best fucking store for selling weed, and everyone's gonna love me, and everyone's gonna love the store and the employees, and the employees are gonna have a great time. That could be a dream, and I bet you there's people out there who do that, sure. But then there's the people out there who are like, there's a lot of money in weed. Let's fucking start a dispensary.
But you are right about there's another dispensary where these people, they're immigrants from Germany, I believe. Yeah. They started a dispo here in the U.S. and it's definitely not about the patients. It's definitely not about that. This guy started it for pure money. Some of the things he did were I honestly believe that they should shut down this dispensary for some of the things they did, and they still got away with it. So I don't know. In my own personal opinion, again, you are right, but at the same time, there are still those people that have a dream. There's some people out there that it's their dream and they just want to make money for it. Yeah, from my aspect, that's how it is for me. I have a goal. I know what I'm good at. I know what I can do. Now, how do I make money on it? How do I how can I sustain myself? How can I feed my kids with this? How can I feed my wife? How can I make this happen?
But it starts with the action, the thing you want to do. Commitment. Like that's always the top priority. It's got to be.
Whether you hate it or not, you got to do it over and over and over.
If you're making the top priority the reward, you're setting yourself up for depression. Like,
exactly.
You're going to get fucked over and over.
I did make that mistake. I'm going to be 100% honest. I did make that mistake in one of my groups. I wanted money at one point. Like I started a group and my end game was I wanted to make money off of this group.
Yeah.
But it was a big disappointment, obviously, but it retracted from my art. It took away from my quality. It took away from so much of me that it almost like I was just trying to find almost the easiest ways to make this work so I can make money off of it as soon as possible. And it wasn't. It was around the time that I really hated music. I started not caring about it anymore. I started trying to find ways to rebuild a new dream. And yeah, but that's when I realized music is my life, dude. I can't just like give up music like that, unfortunately. It can never be a side hobby for me. It really is my life in that aspect. But I tried to kill it, I tried to kill it all because of trying to make money off of it. Now, I hope I make money off of it. I mean, that would be nice, but my main goal right now is to get my team. My main goal right now is to get something even together. My main goal is to make good music.
The thing.
I want
do
music.
The thing.
Yeah, exactly. I want some
products.
Keep
your eye on the project.
I want to see some songs releasing. I want to drop them onto Spotify now. I want to share with my family. I want to share. It was so great because actually Victus was a great step up. Like I think I'm ready to start releasing Victus soon because it reached my goal. It did what I needed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, my goal essentially is to get about like 2 to 5 listeners per song. And I got about 2 people interested in this, like big people though. Like I don't want to name drop. Well, no, you know what? Actually, I'm just gonna say it.
Whatever.
But
there's like 30 people who listen to this.
Well, the best way to explain it is I got a hold of a person. His name is Joe Ferrone. Joe Ferrone. Sorry, Joe Ferrone. He is the trumpet player to. He did the trumpet track to Handlebars for Flowbots. Do you know that song? Flowbots, Handlebars? Yeah. He did the trumpet track and everything. I just had a meeting with him yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I had a talk with him.
Should have recorded it. Made a podcast.
Well, he talked to me. He was like, dude, I like where you're going. Like, I could help you out with some stuff. I can drop you some trumpet tracks.
Hell yeah.
Can you imagine hearing that? Getting a trumpet track on your from the guy who did Flowbots, like the Flowbots trumpet part,
that'd be cool,
onto
dude.
your song, like that's big for me. Like that's my goal essentially, is finding more minds to work with music, essentially. And so I'm gonna drop Victus soon. I'm gonna probably drop it and move to my next project now, and try to do the same thing with this one now.
So you have trumpet tracks from him, or
well, not yet. So I gotta make a song first. But the point is the attention. Okay. I got the attention I needed with Victus already. Now I'll drop Victus, be done with Victus, and then move to my next song. Try to get the attention I need, about 2 to 5 people again for my next song. Once that happens, drop it. Put it aside, get my next song, drop that one, do the same thing, rinse and repeat over and over. And I'm just going to keep dropping videos, dropping samples, dropping everything I can, pretty much to just keep promoting each song I drop.
That's cool.
So
are you making like full music videos or just teaser like videos?
I'm going to make music videos, but I am not that good yet with my eye.
What are you using?
So you can use an iPhone. Like my wife.
No, to edit.
Oh, so I used to use Premiere, but I stopped paying on that. I mean, so now here's the next thing. I'm trying to do all of this with as least money as possible. Because my last group, I invested thousands of dollars in, and I realized it was a waste of money. So this time, I'm going to try to do it with as least amount of money as possible, and with as much push as possible. So I switched from Premiere, and I just picked up a thing called, it's a free software. It's oh my gosh, it was Edison something. No, it was. I can't think of it right now. It was a no, because I haven't got onto it yet. It's supposed to be a full-fledged video edit. I've been using the TikTok editor. If you're talking about my videos that I've been editing now, I just use iMovie and TikTok editor for those. But when I make my music video, I'm going to be using DaVinci Resolve.
DaVinci,
18.
I've heard of
It's
DaVinci.
a free software, and it's a full-on video editing suite. Everything from motion capturing, everything from
Does it run on Mac?
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that
It's
because
a full-on
I
video
eventually
editor.
want to add video to this. I say it every episode, and
Dude,
here we are.
I have a zip of it too. I can even just give you the zip of it. It's like 3 gigs, but yeah, it runs on any. It's. I think the newest one is DaVinci's Resolve 18. You could just go to the website, download it too. Also,
Yeah, I'm
but
sure.
you just got to create an account or whatever, register with it, and then boom, it works great. I mean, there's a paid
I've heard
version.
of DaVinci. And,
Yeah.
I'll try
All
it
the
out.
bigger movie editors, all the big movie producers and stuff like that, they do all their color editing in DaVinci's Resolve. They don't do it in Premiere. They don't do it in After Effects and stuff. I mean, maybe some of them do,
Is
but
it just because it's an easier UI or something?
it's better. It just has better color grading. It has better. Yeah, from what I heard, I never used it yet. I just got it on my computer recently.
It's like less processing.
As long as it works, no, it's a heavy software. It is a heavy software, but Mac shouldn't be too difficult with Mac, depending upon how complicated your edit is. I mean, if you're just trying to take one clip of like a podcast, you probably should be good with that. But if you're making like full-on video clips with like 50 gigs worth of like footage or whatever, you might drag, like depending on what kind of computer you have, you might drag it.
Oh dude, this is like the new MacBook. This has like that M1 processor that's supposed to be super nice.
So then you probably won't have much of a problem.
This computer's never given me problems with anything I've done, but then again, I'm only working with like,
and it comes with Logic, doesn't it?
I don't know if this came with Logic or if Craft gave me the Logic.
Oh, they give Pro Tools, from what I remember hearing.
Oh yeah, I don't know. They could have gave me both. They had classes on both Logic and Pro Tools, so they taught both softwares.
Dude,
and then they had one day on Ableton.
Dude, how is Ableton?
I don't know. I only had one day on it.
But I mean, for that one day, even did it seem like choppy? Did it?
I don't know. It was a Zoom class, dude. I got gypped.
Yeah, you're right.
It wasn't even in person.
It
was like on a Zoom call. They were showing me Ableton. I was like, this is bullshit.
That sucks.
But yeah, I mean, it seems pretty cool. It's a different style, you know. It's not like it's not recorded clips on a timeline where it's all based on how many seconds are passing. Like it's not just. It's like a sequence. You know, so you put in
sequencer.
Yeah, it's a sequencing
tool. Then
it's a sequencing tool, sure.
Okay.
But I mean, you can record with it, and then like edit the recording, put it in whatever sequence you want, add those sequences up. It's just a different format of DAW. You know, it's not like Logic or Pro Tools or Reaper. It looks totally different.
Honestly, Logic and Pro Tools, they're the dominant species in my opinion. FL Studio, a lot of people use it, but I think, in my personal opinion, FL Studio is really great for productions.
Have you tried Reaper?
I have not tried Reaper.
Reaper's cool. Have you heard of it?
It's the DAW?
Yeah.
No, I've never heard of it.
Dude, it's great for home studios. It's actually pretty comparable to like Logic and Pro Tools.
How much does that cost?
It's free to download, and it's like I think it's like a 60-day trial, and then they ask that you pay like $60, but they don't restrict the software. So they
like RAR.
Yeah, exactly. They tell you that they don't believe in restricting software, but this software is not free. That's what they say. But it's $60 for the full version. $60,
that sounds cool.
And it's like the cheapest DAW out there.
I mean, FL Studio though, it's enough of what I need, and I've been training in it for years.
What's really cool about Reaper though is that there's so many plugins for Reaper because it is the free DAW, in quotes free. There's so many plugins out there for it. You can literally do like fucking ambisonic like 3D audio in Reaper for free. Like you can just get a plugin that does the surround sound. Like you can put where you want your guitar behind somebody.
Yeah, you can do that in Logic.
Yeah. Logic has come out with that software. I think
Logic has that.
I know that they compared the two versions, and like what you can do in Reaper is insane compared to what you're allowed to do in Logic for free.
I might check that. I mean, my main goal is I want a new tracking software. That's it. I don't want to track into FL anymore.
We'll do some research on Reaper. Like look up some YouTube videos and see if you like it, because Reaper makes everything really easy, including plugins. Like plugins are fucking so easy on Reaper.
I still got to remember that band that. So there's a couple things we got to. Let me know after the podcast.
It's close to Reaper. It's Demonic Death Judge.
Demonic
it's kind of a
Death
Reaper.
Judge Reaper. Demonic Death Judge Reaper.
I don't know. We'll get it all when we go. But yeah, man, that software makes it really easy. That's what Dan uses in Cytera.
I definitely will probably check it out for tracking specific. That's the main thing, is I need something for tracking. Overall, I had Pro Tools. Pro Tools is still the one I prefer. Hard. I like Pro Tools. I love Pro Tools for tracking and mixing. Preferably for tracking and mixing. FL just makes you have to go around so many hoops.
I don't know a lot about FL.
FL, everything's floating. Everything that you make, it's floating. You can track something and you could put it directly into a track if you want. They give you like an option if you want to do that. But for the most part, when you track something, it's floating. So like you track a guitar part at the 2-minute marker or whatever, that track, it'll drop on either it'll drop on that 2-minute marker and not go anywhere, like it'll just be at 0, and you have to put it into the proper track on the sequencer and then the proper track on the mixer, essentially, if you want to even organize it that way. But otherwise, you could even you can put a vocal wave right where the drums are and it'll still play just fine. Like it won't matter. Everything's just floating. You could bring the drums down in the dead center of a vocal track and it'll still play the same way. It won't matter.
Yeah.
Everything's just floating, and it's frustrating because you have to organize it yourself. You have to get all that organization.
Sounds like it's not designed for like musical tracks.
It's meant for productions, because even for edits, because what it does is what they recommend to you is if you want to track, they tell you to track into Edison first, which is another software.
Yeah. That
when it's an edit, it's basically a wave editing software, and then once you have your wave the way you want it, then you export it. But the problem with that though is it doesn't like sync with the song, and whenever I use the sync feature, it breaks my computer, so I can never play the vocal track when at the same exact time as the instrumental, so it never worked that way. So instead I would just track directly into the sequencer instead. I wouldn't use Edison, but they say, they recommend using Edison first because that's where you can fade, you can cut dead air, you can do all like the edits you can do in like Logic or Pro Tools, you can do in Edison.
Sounds like you're making extra steps.
It's a lot of extra steps.
Sounds like Reaper would cut these steps out for you.
Yeah, it probably could. Pro Tools definitely did.
It looks a lot like Logic, honestly.
What's cool about Pro Tools and Logic is, like, let's say tracking. If you want to track a vocal or something like that, when you track a vocal, you just track the vocal, and then if you don't like it, you just bring it right back and track right over it again. It even saves the last thing you saved, so it doesn't delete it. Even it just brings it below it.
You just make a new playlist or whatever.
FL Studio, you can't go back and keep doing that because then it'll keep replaying the last track you played.
So you got to file every time.
You got to delete it, resave, and then re-engage, start again, delete, re-gauge, start again. Like, it's
you could make new tracks every time and just mute the old ones.
Yeah, I mean that's the way I do it. That's essentially how I do it. Like,
that's gotta be annoying.
There's a mute feature where if you double click the right mouse button, it'll just mute whatever you roll your mouse over, and that's the way I have to do it. Like, it's annoying, but it works. I mean,
sounds like extra steps.
A lot of extra steps. Yep, a lot of extra steps that are unnecessary. FL is powerful for productions. That's pretty much what its main strength is productions. But along the lines, when it comes to tracking, it falls so short. It is so tedious.
Yeah, well, Reaper's a sandbox. So it's like Logic and Pro Tools. They're sandboxes. I'm definitely probably going to check that out.
So I don't want to. The main thing is I want to research first, because I'm putting already a lot of software I've never heard of before on my computer, and I don't like risking my production computer.
It's not a big commitment.
Yeah, that is true.
Damn, Reaper should pay me.
Right.
I should be putting ads on this shit,
man.
No, I don't do any ads for this yet.
Same with DaVinci Resolve. They need to pay me.
Yeah, dude, we need to get those fucking, what do they call them?
So,
I don't know, certain kind of ad. I'm so behind on all the advertisement shit. I need to market this shit to where I can make money, or it'll never be what I do for a living.
Just make TikToks. Make TikTok, film the whole podcast, and then just take segments out of each one. Like,
yeah, I mean that's what I want to do eventually.
I think that'd be
but
great.
I got to figure out the whole video aspect first. So.
I can make it a lot less daunting for you. I mean, it really was daunting for me. I got a tripod
right there that'll hold my smartphone.
Perfect.
I just don't have it set up.
It was so daunting for me when I first made my first video.
Can you record from like a smartphone directly into OBS, like as a camera?
I believe so.
Or is
no, it doesn't work like a webcam like that. No, but
that's what I want. I want it to go straight into the software.
No, there is. I think there is. I believe you can. I just don't know enough about it. It's going to probably need third-party software, I believe. But there's a way. I've seen people where they use their phone and they'll go live on it, and it goes live to all their platforms. So if it goes live to all their platforms, that has to be in through some kind of broadcasting software.
Yeah, I wonder if
would assume
OBS has an
since it's
app.
the biggest one.
Does OBS have like
Well,
an
no,
app
I mean
or
they
something?
still have to use a computer. Like I believe they use a laptop or something like that.
I don't know. I'll have
there
to
might
look
be a
into that.
software that they can connect their phone to, or maybe and use it as a camera.
So it'd be cool to make a live podcast.
I don't know. Yeah,
that'd be dope.
Definitely do that. I would recommend at least doing that. Just putting each podcast live.
That would be hard though. I feel like I'd have to have a moderator on a chat or something if it got too big.
No, I would just say look at it yourself. Like you could just stand there as you're talking,
dude,
just every now and glance at them, call them chat.
I can barely glance over and see how long we've been going without getting distracted, dude.
No, I guess
I can't multitask for shit. I need a Jamie.
You would need definitely probably a moderator.
Yeah, I need another person to fucking look. Maybe like a moderator and then somebody to like run.
I probably would say test the waters first. Dip your toes in. Like at least just try to see what angles you want to do. At least try to maybe capture your first one. Just film it. Don't even think about live. Don't even think about.
Well, no. I'm not doing live right away. That's not what I'm doing. That would be a cool goal to have. Yeah. Eventually, do live broadcasts. That would be dope. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely just gonna be recorded and posted. I want to set myself like a time limit too. Like no more than like a 3 days after recording, like I gotta have it posted.
Yeah.
So it's as close to live as possible, but still able to make some edits if something goes wrong.
Yeah. Dude, I want to help you make that less daunting.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I really want to show you. I mean, we will after this podcast. I'll just make it very simple for you. Like I'll show you how I do it at home. How it like literally my 1-2 step process. It's not great, but it works. Like it definitely gets the job done for when I need it.
Yeah, I just haven't put any effort into setting it up. Really, I've been trying to get the audio down before.
It's just daunting. It's just
if the audio isn't good, I don't care. So it's like I'm trying so hard to get the audio down perfect. Every episode sounds clean, sounds like good. And,
as long as you can still hear the clarity out. I mean, you're getting there. Like I said, this podcast it sounds pretty good overall. And
I'd say about half the episodes are like really good quality, and then half of them are like something went wrong.
One sounds like I listened to one of them, and it sounded like you were on a radio almost, like it was like a telephone call almost, like you guys were having a telephone call with each other.
Super heavy audio production or audio. It was like processing.
It was almost like your high pass. It was like just the high pass of your vocals was cutting through.
Almost. That's probably because there's a super huge echo in the room, and I tried too hard to take it out.
Gotcha.
And it kind of kills everything.
It's not easy when you're running with condenser mics like this, though. Like it's definitely.
Usually the problem is the AC was on.
Oh.
I just forgot to turn it off.
Gotcha.
Or I just didn't. I thought I had the noise gate right or something, or whatever. Or something happened. I don't know. But it's always a new problem. It's hard to explain.
I know that process. All too. Life is gonna do it's almost like whenever you create yourself a goal or a dream, your life will test you with that goal or dream. Like it'll see how much you really want that. So when you start proceeding with it, it'll start to make small things difficult. Like for example, your USB port goes out, or like your interface is popping, or things like just very small stuff. They'll do things to get in your way, and it almost like waits. Okay, I dealt you the card. Now how are you going to play it?
Yeah.
It's almost like that's life.
That's kind of a philosophical way to look at it.
On a daily basis, pretty much.
I think it's just a numbers game. The more you do shit, like the more problems you're going to find in it.
Well, yeah, but
you're going to find all those little tricks, and you're going to find all those little
there's always going to be complications. There's always going to be problems, because it's always life testing to see if you're really about it or not. A lot of people buckle. That's the buckle. That's the thing that makes a lot of people not want to pursue a life in music or career. It's not just the money, but it's also how daunting it is to start tracking yourself, how hard it is to start filming yourself.
Well, it's like the mindset of adding up all your problems instead of eliminating them one by one.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to eliminate the things instead of adding them up in your mind.
See, that's the natural mindset. Most people want to make things easier for themselves. See, I'm not a scientist overall, but I remember someone telling me that
You're not a scientist?
Oh man, no, I studied at the University of Nope.
I have a doctorate. You didn't know that?
But they say when you repeat the same processes in your life, you go to work, you come home, you watch TV, go to bed, do the same thing, your brain stops using the creative parts Like they say, you know, you only have 10% of your brain. Well, you can actually use less of that too. Like it really drops down to really
that's the average.
Your brain wants to just repeat essentially whatever that routine is because it's the easiest. Essentially, when you start to break routine and do other things, it's like you're working out your brain. It's a brain workout. Essentially, it really is a brain workout. And just like working out in real life, your body fights it. You know, it doesn't want it. It's tiresome. I don't want to breathe so hard afterwards. Same thing that's happening to your brain, essentially. If you're trying to track yourself for the first time, edit yourself for the first time, or things like that, you're using creative processes that have not been used, essentially, in a good while. And your brain doesn't like it. It does not like it. It wants to run away from it. And it says, nope, no, go back to what you know. This is not what you know.
Yeah, dude, it can literally feel like you're physically tired too.
Yeah,
like
and then by the end of it, you can feel like you just did the best thing. Like you made this dope song, you dropped a good guitar riff, the dope drum set, and you should be pumped. But by the time you're done, you're like, I can't think anymore.
I need to go to sleep.
Like I can't think anymore. Like
I need to drink a 6-pack and go to sleep and forget this ever happened.
That's how it tends to feel. Like it's crazy. Dude. I love music, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of aspects of it that just trip me up. There's a lot of parts of it that I don't want to do. I don't want to do editing. I don't want to do mixing. I don't want to. It's using, but I mean, I know I have to. And because of that, it also helps me. It gets me better at it. It's something that I know that if someone ever needed to come to me and say, hey, do you know basics about mixing? Hey, would you be able to help me out with this? I can say, yep, I got you, man.
See, the cool thing about podcasts, you don't really have to edit it, and it's still a podcast.
Yeah.
If you don't edit a song, it's not going to be a song.
Well, actually, no. There's some songs that blown up where the vocalist will just track one whole through take and then release it on top of a beat, and they tend to go somewhere.
You're talking about the old days. They used to use one mic in a room.
Yeah.
You know, you better track the whole song. God damn it. Like
yeah. I remember using back in high school, we had this little performance mic. And we didn't even have condenser mics or anything.
Yeah.
We only had this little one performance mic.
Little dynamic.
We would do our vocals on it. We pointed at the guitar amps. We'd we'd hold it. We didn't have any mounts or anything like that. We'd have to hold this mic. So I'm holding and singing into this mic while like tracking it, and I'm holding it in front of the guitar, and I'll just throw some distortion on the vocals to make it like to cover up whatever that whole muffly poppy sounds and stuff. Throw some distortion and it makes it sound a little bit better. I'm like, let's go with it. There's our metal song for today. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean that's how people used to record back in the day. Shit.
Oh, it was fun though. See, because that was fun editing. Because back then you don't edit. You don't edit. You don't work on it. You aren't compressing. You aren't EQ. I mean, you're doing it, but you don't know what you're doing. You're just doing it.
That's part of the game that people don't really think about as much because editing has like been so prominent, and it's honestly like it's easy to show people how you're editing. It's easier to do that than to show people your strategies for using a microphone.
Yeah.
You know, so like one of the things at Crass that I take away from that I think is really valuable is like mic placement on instruments and like how microphones work and like, you know, the physical aspect of how are the sound waves getting from the microphone to the computer, like ones and zeros. And like once you understand that, like, like where you put a mic and how it's angled and facing, like all of that shit matters now.
Yeah,
and that can affect everything. That's like the ground level.
I feel like that adds that extra layer of stress.
It does, but
that's
once
the part. Like
once you know it, like your brain fires in a way to where like your creativity is like it's now speaking another language, and it's like even more exciting to start a project. You're just like, oh, how can we put these mics to make it sound the best? You know, like. What kind of strategy can we use this time? Do we put this one like upside down and this one kind of tilted underneath it? And
then now this is all information you're always going to forever have. So like now if that ever came to a point where your band's setting up and they don't know how to mic up their amps, you're there. You know what you're doing.
I mean, that's originally why I went to Crass in the first place.
I didn't understand anything about like everything I did. I do it by ear and then I have one friend to correct me whenever I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So it's not... I'm not the best engineer overall, but I mean, I don't know along the lines of terminology, knowing what is the right, quote unquote, right way.
Best way.
But all by ear. I literally did it by ear. And it's crazy because like even like miking up a guitar or things like that, when you do it by ear, you almost can find what the industry standard is, or you can almost find how people normally do it, because you're just listening and then you're hearing, whoa, that's close to that sound, or that's close to that sound. I just did that, you know?
Yeah,
so
I feel like
that's how I basically
I don't know if that's a skill you can develop
that I have.
or whatever, but I think it's a skill you can like easily define. The fact
if
that
you know how sound waves move, I guess, and then also
what I'm talking about is like just your perception of like sound and music. Like some people can tell if something sounds good or if it sounds bad. You know, like if you hear a guitar like chord, there's a lot of people who would just be like, "Oh yeah, it's a guitar chord."
And then other people will say, "Oh, there's a ringing on the E string."
Yeah,
that's
and then
like
there's other people who'd be like,
and...
"That's rattling."
Yeah,
like, there's some notes there that are like
that's my
canceling each other out, or
so
you know, like.
But knowing that's how I ended up getting better. Because yes, I'm a fine tweaker, like, and that's tweaker. I like to fine tweak my.
If you have that ear, that's what I'm saying. Like
I hear that rattling, I hear that static, I hear those cars in the background, I hear the dogs barking.
I can hear my tongue when I'm singing. Like
I can hear the song going through my headphones into my mic, going in the background of my vocal, and oh my god, that's so frustrating, because you could, like, when you're editing even that vocal, it starts to turn into forms of artifacting almost, where now that audio that's in your microphones, I mean your headphones, just bleed it into your headphone mic. Now that's permanently into that vocals, and you could almost like hear it as a form of artifacting, almost like, I don't know how to explain it. And that's what the struggle I'm going through actually with a lot of my new songs.
It's almost why you need in-ears,
makes me not want to,
so it doesn't bleed.
Yeah, I mean that, or better headphones. Like, I don't have studio like these are actually studio headphones, you know?
Yeah, they're consumer studio headphones.
But I mean, you could definitely make them work better than what I have at home. Like, the ones I have at home are these little Yamahas that
you need some real sound
short.
Canceling ones. If you're having problems in like a vocal booth with your headphones bleeding into your mic again, you definitely need some sound canceling.
That's a lot of my
like
situation that I have.
Sound canceling.
And so, yeah, that's what I'm trying to beat at this moment. But yeah, I do. That's all sound though. That's what I'm saying, is I'm very fine. Like, it bugs me when I can hear that stuff. Like, I will play a song in front of my wife and she'll be all like, "What's wrong with it?" or whatever. I'm like, "You don't hear that? You really don't hear that? Like, you don't hear on the high end? There's like that. It almost sounds like a click or whatever."
You feel like Charlie from Always Sunny, that meme where he's in front of all the boards with the clipboards with the pinpoints.
That's me pretty much explaining my process all the time. That's me. Yes, but it's frustrating, and it's extremely frustrating. But I know one day I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna, like, even if my recording situation is not that great, I know I will improve on editing. I know I'll improve to a point where that's not gonna be there anymore.
It's practice.
I won't have to worry about bleed. But yeah,
playing the DAW.
I've been tracking for years though. I've been tracking for a long time, and I would probably say that everything that I've ever done home pretty much has never been like official. I know all the systems, how it works. I know how to track. But the problem is I just never had the environment ever. I mean, there were at studios that I like helped out and stuff like that where I could have maybe asked them to do, but I never did. Like, most of the time I just wanted to do it at my house. I don't know why. I just felt like maybe it's because I had my control or whatever. I would always go for the lower quality than the better quality.
Just
because
you don't have to go anywhere.
Huh?
You don't have to go anywhere.
Well, yeah, but all in all, I mean... It would help maybe if I start thinking. I mean, up until recently, I did think about jumping to new studios now, if anything. Like, maybe at least trying out some different studios to see if maybe I can get a better sound. But like I said, I'm trying to do with as least amount of money as possible.
Oh, well, the hardest thing is vocals, dude. That's always the hardest thing. Because like I said, like, as a human being... You know what vocals are supposed to sound like. And
you can
add
vocals.
You can add your artistic, like, twist to it or whatever, but when it comes down to like the consumer, the regular person, they're gonna hear what sounds like the most natural on top of all of your instruments.
That's what I think is different though. I feel like with the vocals is when people get very creative with it. I mean, a lot of songs, like you listen to Arctic Monkeys, like that back 505 song, that song that blew up, he plays through a, like, he has an EQ that's pretty much cutting, I believe, the low pass, and I believe he has a little bit of his high cutting off too, so it creates almost that radio sound, and then he throws heavy verb on that, so, and like, it's almost like
he makes it blend well though, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, it blends perfect.
Yeah, it blends all
that's
together.
That's what I'm saying, like, though, is like vocals aren't that in my opinion, the way vocals have been perceived lately, at least in this, some people are just even recording, not even touching it, and then just throwing a reverb or a delay on it and then releasing it and calling it that's my project. And some of them are blowing up. You look at songs like Tentacion. He's a great example. His music that blew up was all from, what's it called? It was all from when he was singing in like a living room or his bedroom or something on a mic. That was pretty much like his most biggest songs.
Yeah, it's what I'm trying to, maybe I'm not describing it as well as I thought I could, but it's like
blending the vocals to the song.
Yeah, I'm talking about like, does it sound natural with the rest of the song?
Yeah,
you know, like there's some songs you listen to, like a lot of demos in metal. Like metal's what I know, so that's what I go back to every time. But like you'll see like the vocals like obviously sit on top of everything else. You know, it's just like all I can hear is the vocals, and then there's background music to the vocals. And it's like, how well can you blend those things together to make it sound like you're there at the stage?
I like that part. Like, honestly,
you can like that part, but
that part is that's part of the fun of it.
I feel like that's where the biggest fucking hurdle is for editing, is getting those vocals to blend.
If you want me to be 100% honest with metal music, like specific, my personal taste, and again, I'm not big into the metal scene, so no one can validate my opinion. But in my opinion, for metal music, I would probably say that I wouldn't have the vocals be the main thing that stands out. I would have your guitar, your drums, I would have those be more the dominant aspect, and I would probably have your vocals more behind the guitars, maybe, or maybe I don't know, like that's in my own personal opinion with metal, because don't get me wrong, the screaming is almost like the icing on top of the cake, but it's not the cake, you know.
The guitars are supposed
drums,
to sing.
The guitars, the bass, like
the guitars are the singers in metal. Like the guitars need to sing.
People are watching, like, people are seeing your guitar riffs, like people are seeing how crazy you are at drums. Vocals, it almost seems like Joe Schmo can go and grab a mic and yell into it now. But not anyone can grab a guitar and be able to play that perfectly. Not anyone can grab a drum and sit on drums and play that perfectly. So when it comes to like metal music specifically, my opinion, I would not have the vocals stand out. I would I would make it to where it's audible, you can hear it. I would make it to where it's blended still within the song, but I would definitely want my audience to be paying attention more to the guitars and the drums than the vocals.
Yeah, sure. I know what you mean. Like that's I remember seeing a interview with Trevor from Black Dahlia, where he said that's what his goal was, to make the guitars like stand out in front of everything. For the which album was he talking about? Verminous, I think.
I feel like Tool did that at one point too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be my goal.
Let's take a break just real quick, just a small break. So we kind of got sidetracked on the break talking about TikTok, but you said TikTok was working for you.
Yeah, I mean, TikTok works from what I've been seeing so far. I mean, I'm not good with it yet, but since I've been dropping videos pretty consistently, I've been getting consistent followers. Like, they'll come in, they'll trickle in one, two at a time, and I don't have any songs dropped. So, like, I have one song dropped, and it was like from 2 years ago, so it's not really much to look at, and they're still interested. So as long as you keep making video content of something, they're gonna come in, as long as it's something cool. TikTok, I feel like, has really cool algorithms. I don't know if Instagram Reels works the same way, but the algorithms, it really is based off of content. Like, if you make something that really is shareable, they like it, they'll get it, or whatever. If they like it, then they'll share to that much more people, and if they all like it, then it'll share it like a tree, pretty much. It'll just keep expanding. But if basically the likes start to slow down or stop, then it just doesn't work anywhere. Then the video's done. Like, it's not going to show, probably. And it's been working very well for me so far, for the people that are into my style of music or things like that. There are a few people trickling in here and there, and I love it. But at the same time, shoot, I lost track of my other note. Like, there's the backside to that, but now I can't think of it. Oh yeah, then there's the backside is the other sides of social media, and then when you share it to like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Like, Instagram's a good example as well too. They punish you for not posting. They punish you if you are consistent with your posts, and you decide that you want to take a small break or whatever. Then they don't like that. Like, they really don't like that, and they'll hide you. And that's the thing I don't like about those specific platforms, because they decide how relevant you are. Versus things like TikTok, things like on TikTok, it's not. It's really is the fans that
they decided the president of the United States wasn't relevant. So
I mean, yeah.
Those motherfuckers, they think they can do anything, man.
I have a lot of faith in TikTok for accomplishing at least my small goals. Like my
it's more aligned with what you're
to,
trying to
blow
do.
Up or anything
it's more aligned with what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
is what it is.
I think TikTok's a great platform for that, and not only that, it's a pretty good video editor for if you want to start learning video editing. Like within there, the effects you get, the cuts, all that stuff, you can make some pretty cool looking videos in there just with what they have. And that's why I did that. I don't know if you've seen it before, where there's one where I'm just teleporting around the room.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, where I'm on the guitar, then I teleport.
You did like
to the
different video, different angles on the parts of the song.
Well, it's not a different angle; it's one angle. I just put the camera.
It's one angle, but
and then I had to use place markers to keep everything where it was.
You like synced the audio. I noticed you synced the audio.
Yeah, and then
to all
I synced
parts.
the
That was
audio
really
on each
cool.
one, and I would just cut each one, so I made it look like I was my full band teleporting to each instrument.
That's one thing that bugs me the most about certain music videos. Is like when you see a guitar player playing and they're not playing the audio you're hearing.
Just holding it. Yeah.
And, they're playing something. But you could tell that their fingers are not where they're supposed to be.
There
and you're
is a trend going around where people are doing that. No,
they're
doing it. No, there's a trend where people are intentionally making themselves look like they're playing something they're not. Like it's almost intentional. Like you're supposed to call them out on it. Like they'll literally hold a guitar. I've seen a couple of them where the person's just like literally like just pushing the same note on the same fretboard, but you hear this whole guitar piece playing in the background.
Oh, it's like a meme?
And it's almost like a meme. Yeah, all these people are doing. I'm assuming someone did that originally, and I'm assuming now it turned into a trend to make fun of that person.
Oh yeah, dude. It's just a meme. Guess. It's a TikTok meme or something.
Yeah, and so that's essentially what happened. Funny. Now these people are pretending to play guitar better than like I'm pretty sure they never touched a guitar in their life, and like some celebrities got on board with that too. Like I think it might have been DJ Khaled that was the first one that did it. Like he was the one that did it, and everyone made fun of him.
If that guy ever played a guitar, I would be fucking blown away.
He's a producer, though. I mean, he may.
But if I watched him play a fucking song guitar, I would be like, wow.
I don't know who it was.
Impressed.
I don't know for sure. It might have been him, but it's hilarious.
That guy doesn't just strike me as like a musical musician.
Right?
Like he can produce music, sure. Like anybody can direct a musician to play a certain
lot of people
thing.
use samples these days. The hip hop industry is big into samples, but then that's the funniest part is because there's a lot of rights. There's a lot of issues with sampling. There's a lot of times where people are taking stuff that don't belong to them and putting them into songs and getting known for them.
It's tricky, man.
And yeah, there's a lot.
I remember hearing a story about how Phil Collins sued somebody, or his label sued somebody for using the drum sample from In the Air of Night. They used the drum sample from that song, but it was just one piece of it, and they distorted it so heavily it doesn't even sound the same. But they deconstructed it in Pro Tools and used that in court, like, and still fined the dude. It's like, motherfucker, why? Why is this so important to you? He used your snare sample, like,
because it's their art, you know.
Yeah,
it's like their babies. It's like someone trying to take pride in someone else's baby. It's like imagine
sometimes
going to someone else's kid and saying, "Hey, this is my kid." I don't know. Like it's difficult when you're taking other people.
I'm a firm believer in the fact that like imitation is like a form of flattery.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
I guess
somebody's imitating you. Somebody's taking your thing to use it.
Stealing, there's a difference. Imitating, they almost make it obvious that they're imitating. They almost make it obvious that they have influence.
A sample of a drum hit.
Like, oh yeah. Drum hits. That makes no sense to me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how far are we going to push this?
I mean, did he steal it? Was it like a specific kind of drum hit or something?
Did he steal your sound, or did he use your art to create another piece of art?
Yeah,
you know, like, true. There's no definition for that in the law.
I'm talking about more like, for example, we're going to use Flowbots as an example.
Sure.
Their song "Handlebar" was taken by someone took what's his name? That Paul Logan or whatever. He took the Flowbots instrumental and Logan Paul. There we go. He sampled Handlebars without permission, and they sued him. Flowbot sued them.
Yeah, sure. But
So
he was fully expecting them to sue him, right?
he was all like, no, because they did the interview. They were all like, hey, so the Flowbots are mad that you took their sample, and he was like, Logan was like, who? And they were like, the Flowbots, and he was like, who? And he goes, the one you took your sample from or whatever, and he goes again, who? Like, he's trying to make it seem like they're not known, like he's bigger than Flowbots.
Yeah. That was an act. He knew what he was doing, dude. And he knew that they were going to get mad, and he knew that he was going to pay. He knew he was going to have to pay a fine. Like, he set the money aside to do that.
Yeah, he probably had the money.
There's people who do that, dude. They take it and they know they're going to get sued, and they're like, we'll just pay him.
Yeah, Lil Wayne did it too.
It's for the clout.
Like Dying.
It's so that they can say like, oh, we made this song. We got sued for it, but we made it.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
I guess so. That is true.
It still exists.
Lil Wayne did that with I Feel Like Dying. That song, I Feel Like Dying. I don't know if you've heard that one or not.
I'm sure I've heard it.
Probably.
I guarantee
everyone's heard every Lil Wayne song. Like 10 years ago.
I've heard every Lil Wayne song without ever searching Lil Wayne.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I feel that.
Yeah, there's so much music I listen to unwillingly. It's crazy.
That's I'm actually trying to take that as influence, though. All the different kinds of genres I listen to, all the different stuff. Like I'm all over the place. Like I was listening to Knock Loose when I got here.
Yeah.
I listen to The Neighborhood a lot. I listen to Circa Survive, Coldplay. I'm all over the place with my music. Like it doesn't sit in one place. So I always try to think of ways on how can I incorporate all these ideas into one song without breaking the song.
Yeah, dude. I had this idea that I would take like, hardcore DJs from like hardcore EDM, not hardcore metal, but hardcore EDM or like Frenchcore or like hard style DJs, the guys who do the really hard shit, and like collaborating with metal bands. Like have a metal band like that rewrite a riff or something to fit into like an EDM song. And like,
Korn did that. It works, man.
Well, Korn did it with Skrillex, but both of those are like mainstream radio bullshit. Like I don't like either of those really.
Korn changed.
Korn has always been Korn, if you ask me. To me, Korn has been Korn for my whole life.
I don't like Korn's. I don't like Korn for what makes them stand out. I like Korn from actually what makes them like everyone else. I like their drops. I like their heavy parts. I like I don't like their like. I'm not a big fan of that stuff.
That stuff sounds kind of cool, though.
But I love their drops, though. They have really cool drops, and plus they have some pretty like solid verses as well, too.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is,
they're unique, man. They make some art, that's for sure.
I think they try to be unique. I think they're really on the goal to be unique.
Well, who was sounding like Korn before they came out?
No one. I don't think so. No one was sounding like Korn. No, Slipknot has their
same
own
genre.
Sound too. I mean, it's the same genre, but that's what I'm saying. If anything, Slipknot turned
Static X.
No, see, Static X. I feel like they were influenced from Slipknot. I feel like a Mushroom.
You think Static X is closer to? I don't know enough about
any of them. Like, I don't know who came first, Mushroom Head or Slipknot. But
Mushroom Head is probably closer to Korn. If you ask me,
I guess they're a little heavier.
I think they're a little more like breaking the lines, breaking the boundaries.
Well, old Slipknot was pretty heavy. Like old Slipknot was, I don't know, it was pretty. If I remember correctly, I mean, it's been years. Last time I remember listening to old Slipknot was back in high school. So I wasn't an avid Slipknot listener. I only heard Slipknot based off my friends listening to them. But I remember them being pretty damn heavy. I remember them.
I'm not saying they're not
right
heavy.
On par with like Mushroom Head. But I don't know. See, but that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know Mushroom Head enough. I know maybe 1-2 songs by Mushroom Head. That's about it. So
I don't know. Back when those guys were like super big, I was listening to fucking Metallica still because I
feel like everyone got influenced by Metallica. I feel like
that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like Metallica is the legs.
They're giants
for metal. Metallica are the legs for metal.
I mean, there's other branches though. There's like the Pantera.
Yeah, but
groove metal that's like violence.
How much?
That's influence.
But they pretty much Metallica. They're the ones that took that more like older style metal and made it harder, made it heavier, made it grungier, darker. Like
they definitely took metal darker
heavier.
in their time. Like,
but you can
especially
see
with their
first
album that got big. It was like the fucking darkest album on the market.
But you can see their influences also though from their music. You can see the different metal bands that they metal of the time, I guess. They're the bands they were into. I don't know enough about the scene, so I don't know what was considered metal back in the 70s or 60s.
Well, back when their first album came out, I think it was like the early 80s. It was called Kill 'Em All. That was not the original name of the album. The original name that they wanted to name it was Metal Up Your Ass. That was their original idea for a title, and their record label was like, "That's not going to sell."
I remember who were their influences. I remember
Metallica.
Yeah, it wasn't it like Led Zeppelin or.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, what were the big bands back then? There was like Led Zeppelin,
like those
Kiss,
metal bands.
Kiss,
Kiss maybe.
You know, there's Iron Maiden. They were out way before Metallica.
Well, it could have been Iron Maiden, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of the fast guitar riffs, like that's what influenced these dudes. Their first album was just fast as fuck, violent, and yelling into the microphone, like it was almost punk.
Now they went lighter, like they're a lot lighter.
They've been lighter since that album. Since their first album, they've only gotten lighter.
Yeah,
like that's my favorite one, the heaviest one. It's just like fucking pure intensity.
See, that's where I feel like I don't have the foundation for like metal. I mean, I listen to a lot of hardcore, but I was never an avid Metallica listener. I was never. I mean, even like more past that, Slipknot, things like that. These are like bands that metal, like a lot of people that are into like hardcore would tell me, these are bands you should be listening to. These are bands that are your foundation. These are the bands that where metal essentially came from, where hardcore came from, man. You need to pick them up from these bands. And I never listened to any of them. I never listened to Korn. I never listened to Korn. I mean, I heard them from my friends. Slipknot, I heard them. I love Duality. It's a great song, but it wasn't my thing, you know?
Yeah.
I was always into things like Deftones. I was always into things like Tool. Like more that kind of stuff, more experimental, I guess you can say. But at the same time, I loved hardcore. So as much as people wanted to hate on me for not knowing my roots or whatever, fuck them.
Yeah, it's like when I say
I still like hardcore if I want.
I love death metal, and then all I talk about is like, Black Dahlia. But
Black Dahlia. See, I liked Black Dahlia back in high school.
For some reason, that band just resonates with me. But there's other bands like like Skeleton Witch and.
Did you know Knights of the Abyss?
Knights of the Abyss. I've never really got into them.
If my family ever listens to this podcast, I'd rather not say the name.
Oh. Well, I know that I just found a band. I know they're an older band, but Arsis is a cool death metal band. They're just anything that has like super fast guitar riffs that's like super high intensity where you can still hear the melodies. Yeah. Like it's a tall order. Well, don't get me wrong, like that's a hard thing to achieve.
Melody's big for me. Like and even when you have that hardcore sound, if you hear those ones where they're constantly doing like drop and then diminishing chords, whatever, with that drop B or drop C, whatever they're playing and whatever. I almost feel like the ones I'm more into are the ones that use some kind of synth almost in the background, or some kind of like a DJ, or like a
dynamic bass line.
Someone where they can add more like a MIDI level to the hardcore almost. Yeah. Like for example, these aren't metal bands; these are more considered hardcore bands. But like Devil Wears Prada. Like how they have a synth player. I'm not a big fan of this band, but Attack, how they have a synth, player. They're more like pop now, essentially. But Attack.
It's like the pop kind of punk.
They were like the pop of like rock, of like that
pop
hardcore
punk is a genre.
Image. But all I'm saying is those synths where they throw like those synths, some kind of melody in the background of those drop chords. Ooh, it resonates so well with me. I love songs like that. Bring Me the Horizon, that's the best example of it. Their first couple albums, when they not their first couple actually, their third album, I believe it was, when they finally got that synth into their music. Ooh, it just brought a whole new level to their metal, and it was so good. So good.
Yeah, there's definitely bands that like fucking hit melodies on the head, like Children of Bodom.
I know Children of Bodom.
Dude, their melodies are insane. Like, they're so catchy, but they're so heavy at the same time. Like, at some points, it gets a little cheesy, where it feels like it's kind of like an 80s song just turned heavier. But, like, their keyboard melodies, like, their keyboard
that's what it is,
fucking insane,
That's
dude.
what resonates. Like, there's just something about that synth that just makes your spirit rise.
Yeah, they have a good sound, for sure. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I've ever even heard of Children of Bodom, I went to see them live. It was a
Dude,
Gigantour.
That name in so
they had
long. That's so crazy.
like Megadeth, In Flames, there's Children of Bodom. I think Job for a Cowboy was there. There's another band. I forget.
See,
but I was like a kid.
A lot of people
but...
that knew Job for a Cowboy also knew Knights of the Abyss. I mean, they weren't big. Knights of the Abyss weren't big, but most of the people that in Arizona that I knew Job for a Cowboy.
I've heard the name.
Knights of the Abyss.
I feel like if I
would
have liked them, I would have picked them up by now.
Are you?
Huh?
Are you a Born of Osiris fan? Probably
I've heard some good songs. I've heard some good songs, but it's not my style.
They're more heavier than I would normally prefer, but they're consistent breakdowns, very offbeat breakdowns, things like that. I love
a band that I like that has
style metal.
Like I feel like a band that I like that has good breakdowns is As Blood Runs Black. Do you like them? Dude,
these are all bands I've heard of back like long ago, man.
Dude, As Blood Runs Black.
As you're mentioning these names, it's almost like you're taking me back.
It's more chuggy and stuff, but dude, the vocalist makes it more like death metal. The vocalist he fucking makes like death metal vocals, but it's like, you know, really rhythmic. Like,
you probably know this cat. Do you know Guillermo Sanchez?
It sounds familiar.
He's partied with people like that, you know, specifically.
It sounds familiar, but
he was a person back in high school I knew. Shout out Guillermo, but he put me on to all these bands.
Was he in a band or something?
He wanted to. I think he wanted to scream, but again, he was just one of those people that want to but don't.
It takes dedication, man.
But other than that, he had taste in music, though, man. His collection of like songs he knew, bands he knew, it just was infinite. And he would show me them. I would get into them through him. He took me to these like back alley shows that were, oh my gosh, cool. People were jumping on top of each other, socking each other. People
like the house show that I had
from the
the house show that I had. That shit was nuts.
Yeah, house show. Yeah, my wife thought she was gonna die at that.
Yeah,
my wife got smashed in the back.
Yeah,
she got smashed in the back, and she was like, "Oh my god, this is how I'm gonna die. This is how I'm gonna die." Because everyone in the living room at your party just backed up, and all of us were just up against the wall.
I remember that specific moment, and there was this dude who fucking thought it was some like underground punk show or something, and decided to be violent. He started trying to push people into the band. Ooh. He was literally like trying to shove people and make violence, like trying to shove people into the band so people fall over. And it's ridiculous. Like, I was about to fucking drag that dude outside.
See it. All I saw is we were all smashed.
I was about to grab that dude by the shirt and drag him outside. I was getting fucking pissed at that dude. Dude, that kind of pissed me off when that happened. But he quit. He quit after he saw a couple people like turn at him, and
dude, that was a party though, man.
You know, give him that eye that's like, I'm about to kick your fucking ass. Like he calmed down. But.
Yeah. But still, like I said, that was a successful party, man. I mean, I wish I could have thrown a show at my house, but there'd be a good chance that I'd probably get cut.
Yeah, I still think the only reason that was able to happen is because it was a brick house. Because it was all brick. Damn. It was an old ass house. It was just all the walls on all the outside walls were like a fucking foot of cinder block, you know, and so
huge backyard too.
You couldn't hear it from the sidewalk. Like if you stood out by the sidewalk, you could hear music playing, but you never know it was a live band inside.
Inside though, when I was inside, I couldn't hear anything. Like I couldn't hear the riffs. I mean, I couldn't hear screaming. You just hear
it was loud, dude. Yeah, it was bad.
And then you hear rah, 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 like right behind all this just noise. Like it was just massive noise.
It was pretty bad, dude. It was a fun show, but it was not.
Everyone was into it, dude. Everyone was hype. It was crazy.
It was not musical.
It was a good party. It was pretty. It was.
Knowing what I know now, I would have done it a little bit differently.
Let's throw another one.
Another show I would have made that happen a little differently.
See, that's
it would
why
have been a little quieter.
Honestly, that's why. I mean, that's the hardcore. I mean, even having this podcast with you, it makes me want to do more hardcore music. Like it's almost like I'm gonna almost bail on this whole mixed genre thing just to go back towards hardcore music, and I can't do that, man. I can't, because it's not. As much as I love hardcore, that's not just everything of me. So I know it's just a phase I'm feeling right now, but I miss it, bro. I miss rhythmic.
I've always had this idea, like,
metal.
what if there was a brand name for like a band or musician, where like they do an album of one genre, you know, and based on whatever show they're playing, they'll do music from that album.
I thought about that. Yeah.
You know, if you're
Keep
if you're
going.
doing a punk show at like like you're on a bill for a punk show or something, you do all your punk songs. And if you're on a bill for like a hardcore show, you do a bunch of hardcore
album, you drop a heavy metal album, you drop a hardcore
exactly.
album.
You do like a
and then
country
based off of
album.
whatever tour is trying to grab you right
fucking
now.
write some country.
I'll fall out of country. I mean, don't get me wrong. I tried.
I've
My
always
family's
thought I could
huge
be a
into
good country
so
singer,
I
man.
tried to get into country, but it's just one of those things that I feel like I've never heard melody singing all sound so similar before. That's my aspect of it. Like melody,
there's a specific chord progression.
Well, hardcore, people will say hardcore sounds all the same. You know, metal sounds all the same. But even if it is, it's designed that way. It's designed to have those rhythmic guitars, rhythmic drum. You know, but when it comes to country, when you're singing, you can diverse it up a bit. You can switch it up a little bit. It just seems like no one does that.
You have to separate country though. It's literally as big as metal, if not bigger than metal.
It is bigger than metal.
So you need to like separate it out to say like, you know, which of these people, and I hate to be the fucking asshole who draws this line, but it's literally like you can draw the line of who's trying to make money on the music and who's trying to write country music.
Yeah, I guess
you know,
that's
like,
the aspect. All the country music I hear are the people that are making money on it.
Yeah, because that's what's promoted. That's what makes money. Yeah. So that's what gets advertised and marketed. Like it's no brainer. Like if you want to make money in country music, you make a pop song and just sing it with a country accent.
But I'm gonna be honest, there are some country. There's maybe one or two country songs that I don't even know the names of. I probably would never be able to find them again, but I liked them. They play, and I remember like wanting to hear them again and not being able to because I never knew the names. I mean,
there's a lot of older country songs that like I hear them and I'm like,
I like emotional country songs.
What's this song? And it's like it turns out it's from like 1975, and it's like, fuck, dude, why isn't country like this anymore?
This is the best way to put it. I like emotional music of every genre. Yeah. Emotional. So I guess I'm emo. I'm your defined form of emo.
That's what it's short for.
I like the emotional music of hardcore, of metal. Basically, that would be the hardcore. I like the emotional music of pop. I like the emotional music of country, I guess. I mean, country's the one I dabble in the least, so I'm not going to actually say I like country.
I'm with you there, man.
But yeah, I just like the emotional stuff. I love things where people can actually bear their soul on a track.
Have you listened to, like, Mexican music? Like Mexican polka?
Hispanic music? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have.
Specifically Mexican
my
music.
wife and her whole side of family.
Not just Hispanic, like specifically Mexico. Like
yeah. And they're incredibly freaking talented people.
Holy fucking shit. Some of those songs, like, I used to work a lot of construction, and like, this isn't being racist or nothing, but there's a lot of Mexicans out there. Listen to a lot of Mexican music, dude, and holy shit, it's good, man. I'd listen... When fucking random white dude is playing country, everyone is looking at him like, turn this shit off. But when the Mexican dude is playing Mexican music, nobody gives a fuck, dude. The music sounds good. Like, it doesn't matter where you come from. That music sounds good. And I think it's because it has fucking soul in all of the songs, dude. You can hear it when they're singing.
When you play that nylon guitar with those...
the nylon guitar,
with
like...
accordion.
Dude, it's never like... It's never a strict fucking 4/4 pattern all the way through. Like, they always break off their timing.
Too. They'll do these, like, loud parts and then come down to a very, like, a steady pace.
Super dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, dude. I love that music. I have no idea what they're saying. I don't speak
It is definitely
Spanish,
something I don't, like, put on the radio, but you are right.
I've
it's
put it
something
on
I won't
before.
tell someone to turn off.
When I'm bored of whatever music I'm listening to, turn on 103.5.
But I had told people to turn off country.
Oh, yeah.
I've told people to turn off country.
Oh,
before.
absolutely. I make fun of it. Every time I walk in the room and my coworkers are listening to country, I will make fun of it. Like, I don't care how annoying
my instincts want to so badly, but one thing I always have to stop myself and realize is that everyone, like all these people, like even these country songs that I don't like, they're talented as fuck, and I can't deny that. And they made something happen to where they were noticed as well. So at that rate, they definitely had that level of success that I still strive for, you know? So I want to appreciate every artist for what they make and what they can do. It is hard.
Well, again, you gotta separate the capitalist business language from the artist and music language.
But
like,
even then,
totally
even the
different.
ones that are going towards that capitalist direct. Okay, like A Ride to Poland. And I'm going to use this as the best example.
Okay.
There's this song called Ride to Poland coming, like, that's blowing up right now. I don't know who sings it, but I can't wrap my head around it. I can't understand
We know the name of the song. That's something.
Well, that's the point. Like that's what I mean. That's how it blows up because they were able. I mean, it's an artist that obviously is known already. So it's not someone that I can't remember the name of him, but he's known already. So he's probably that's how he blew up the song as well too. But the song, how he even sings it, that when he goes like the ride to Poland, it's just so off-putting. Like he sounds like he's like, I don't know how to explain it in his voice. Like he can't sing. The best way to put it is this dude can't sing, but he's clutching on this auto-tune. And it sounds like you can't sing on an auto-tune. He's blowing up for it.
And like, is that you as like an audio dude saying like I don't like this, but it works anyways?
I have to sit and I listen to it, and I want to sit there and find something I could appreciate from it. The instrumental's great. I mean, it's cool how it was put together. I mean, I guess the sequence.
So are you saying the vocals bother you? So you're saying?
Yes, it's cringy.
Okay.
It's very, very cringy, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how to appreciate all music. I can't get into like as much as I want to appreciate all these types of songs. I'm a hater. And there's a lot of things that I wish I can get over, but I can't.
Dude,
but
I get
there's
it.
just
I'm
certain
right
aspects that just don't make sense to me. How certain songs are considered talented and certain other ones aren't, and that's where I always keep going back to the same conclusion.
It comes down to
it's not the talent; it's the showmanship.
There's a formula. No,
well, yeah.
You have to keep in mind that there's a formula.
There is formulas, but at the same time, a lot of the time, most of these artists, they were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the majority of
whatever producer or record label picked them up gave them the formula. Mm-hmm. They said, hey, we like the way you sound. Here, go by this formula, and we'll make you some money. And they're...
Well, who's going to say no? They do the formula usually. A lot of the times the marketing companies, like there's this one ploy that people did where on TikTok, they actually wrote the song already, but they would go on TikTok and act like they don't know what to do. And then someone from the label will disguise themselves as a commenter and give it that initial idea essentially to give for the song.
Oh yeah.
And then the artist will start like, hey, that's a good idea, and they'll start doing it, and it gets the audience involved. It makes the people feel like they were involved with making this song when really it was already written in the first place. She already had it written.
Yeah.
She already had it planned. She already released it.
Dude, that's fucking amazing. I've never heard of that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it works, and it's a brilliant idea too.
How fucking sneaky.
But it works, and I mean, to me, I felt like that was so clever. But at the same time, it's like you have to have a certain level. Like she was signed already. She got signed by Interscope Records, I believe. Yeah. So I mean, when she was doing that bit, like acting that bit that got her big or whatever, she was already signed, and they were already planning to get her big.
Yeah, so, sure.
It wasn't. It's just a marketing ploy. All of it.
It's like Taylor Swift. She already had a record company lined up.
She was actually part of a church label originally, I believe. She was singing Christian music.
It was Christian, and then country, and then pop. Yeah, and then it's about money.
She went a little darker. Do you think we could take a small pause really quickly?
Oh yeah,
so
sure.
I can take
we'll pause real quick.
Bathroom break.
Yeah, man. It always bugged me how like Taylor Swift is like you know, I heard her daddy bought her a record label.
I feel like that was familiar. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
For some reason, that fact always stuck with me.
Yeah, she was gifted.
No matter what happens, she's gonna succeed.
Drake's a good example. You know, Drake's
Drake
an artist.
Is a good example.
He's like considered the GOAT of hip hop, and
he will never fail.
No, he's not the GOAT of hip hop.
He will never fail.
There's people like Eminem. But anyways, Drake, like he's that person that says started from the bottom. Now we here. Did he? Did he start from the bottom?
Lil Wayne started from lower than him.
Well, was Degrassi the bottom? Like, I didn't understand Degrassi was the bottom. Like, I mean, he had a following already. He had people already interested in him. Maybe someone didn't help him with his music career specifically, but he already had that traction to where anything he were to drop, he could have said poopity scoop. And people probably would have been like, yo, that's the Degrassi man saying poopity scoop.
Well, I heard that he can't keep time either. So it's like, he's not really a musician. Like, he has ideas and he has lyrical content. That's what he's got.
He's more like the less...
He's a poet.
He reminds me of Lil Wayne, but just more understandable. Like more
well, that's the thing.
Coherent Lil Wayne.
That's it. He's more of a poet than a rapper. He can't feel the fucking rhythm, but he has the lyrics and what to say. Like, he knows that much.
I know he would probably argue that.
I'm sure he would. Fuck you, dude.
Rhythm, bro.
Fuck you, Drake.
He might send out assassins, man. He might come for us, dude.
Assassins. I'm not important.
Hey, you don't know that though. You don't know who you might go for. It's Drake.
Only the
you don't
dudes...
like any bad clout about him.
Yeah, I guess.
He always hunts out the competition.
He's like Kim Jong-un.
I don't know. He doesn't like bad clout. From what I remember, Tentacion was starting bad clout about him because really Drake ripped him off. But so Tentacion started bad clout about that. And yeah, Drake did not take on to that very well. There were some threats thrown out. There was all kinds of shit that Drake was saying.
I'm sure. That guy's delusional. I've heard so many stories about that dude. He's like the epitome of too rich, too famous, too fast.
Too fast.
Like he needs to calm the fuck down.
People would say that with like Aaron Carter.
Yeah, that Aaron too. Carter. That guy. Holy shit! I've seen interviews with that dude.
What is up with that guy, man?
Especially that guy's out of his mind.
He blew up too quick, too soon at such a young
for no
age.
Reason.
For
no reason.
Well, he had a good voice for his age.
He had good marketing.
And great marketing.
That's
but it was about his brother, Nick. That's the thing that he always complained about was living under Nick's shadow or whatever.
Aaron Carter was a Disney star, wasn't he?
Well, he wanted to get famous for his music, though, I believe.
But he was a Disney star,
I think
right?
so.
He's on the Disney Channel like Drake.
Sounds familiar. Yeah, I believe so.
I think he was like a spokesperson for Disney, kind of like Hannah Montana.
And then he just nosedived off.
I could be totally wrong.
There you go.
But yeah, dude, it's like the fame got to him. He wanted to party and fucking be the rock star, but you're not a rock star. You're just like the younger brother of a fucking, pop star.
He still raps, I believe now, but
yeah.
I haven't even heard anything he's ever done. Like he's relevant in the way he shouldn't be relevant.
I have a feeling that drugs are involved.
Oh,
I just
no
have
doubt.
a feeling.
He what is it? He preaches that he's clean, but no doubt he looks like he's tweaking. He looks like he's on something.
Hey, you might have been clean now, but drugs were involved.
Actually, I don't know. I can't really say that because people could probably say I look like I'm tweaking from how skinny I am. But no, mine's stress, pure stress. Everyone's stressed.
I've worked at QT for long enough to know that you're not a tweaker. I've seen enough tweakers at QT to know.
Mine's purely, I think, stress or, I just don't eat very well. But
hey, whatever. People
I'll
have
eat
different
comfortably when I
metabolisms.
make it, I'll eat comfortably when I can start paying for it with my music money.
There's a certain look in somebody's eyes. They're just looking past you.
Right.
Like, that's when you know, like, oh, you've been there. You've been there before.
I've been around a few. I've definitely been around. I haven't dabbled with stuff like that, but I've dabbled with some of my drugs back in the day. But
oh yeah, is it good to experiment?
Yeah,
that
probably, was the problem. Calling
but
yourself a drug experimentalist is a problem.
That's a trap. Everything is a trap.
Yeah,
right?
It's a trap. Like
but,
I learned from that the wrong way.
To seek out new perspectives as human.
Yeah.
So to want to experience something new or different, that's a human trait. So that's you can't fault somebody for wanting to try, but
then there's a point you realize you take it too far.
There's knowledge involved.
Yeah, that's
you have to educate yourself.
Here's the thing:
properly.
I loved hallucinates. My main thing was I loved like reality changers.
Hallucinogens are different, but what I'm talking about is like you can't get your education from the person selling you the drugs.
Yeah,
you need to know something about the drugs before you go to buy them. You can't ask your dealer how much you should take. He's going to tell you all of it. Like, whatever he's taken.
I've
like
messed with muscle relaxers, opiates, all those things.
It doesn't.
Too,
anything.
But I'm more talking about like my drug of choices were always those hallucinates though. Like those.
Absolutely, dude.
There's just an inspiration that also comes from being able to open up bigger parts of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things I've seen, things I've heard. I was able to create stories like. I would be able to think of new stories and stuff like that, all from the different trips I've had, and then they were like catchy stories. They were like good things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just get very creative during the process, but I'm too like effed up to be able to do it at that process. But then the next day, I will like remember what I thought of and be like, dude, I gotta lay this out.
Yeah, there's a certain clarity, especially to like mushrooms. I've noticed like there's a clarity to mushrooms. Like when you're done with it. It's like your whole brain has been just dusted with a Swiffer. Just
sometimes.
You're like,
there were sometimes I come out of it and I'm like, where the hell did I just go? Like there's sometimes where I feel like I go through like a butcher, like a butcher shop or something. Like there's some like effed up trips I will have.
Maybe you didn't eat enough.
I don't know what it is, but I remember having this one trip. I closed my eyes and remember trying to meditate to this music, but all I was seeing was like like hanging cows and pigs and stuff like that were being butchered.
Like meat hooks?
Yeah, on meat hooks.
God
and I
damn.
couldn't get it out of my head. And I remember every time I closed my eyes, I saw this. So I'd have to open my eyes and be like, oh, good. Why is this here?
Watch
and
a
I'd
PETA
close my
video
eyes
or
again.
something?
I don't know what it was, man. It was crazy. But it wasn't always like that. But some of my mushroom trips, I'm like, where the hell did I just go? I didn't know that even existed in my head. What the hell?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I don't know, man. That's always been my favorite.
Shrooms was always analog. Acid was digital. And I never wanted to go digital. Like, I mean, if I ever did go digital once, it was like once or twice. But analog was always
I've tried acid before. And honestly, how it was is...
It felt like digital shrooms to me. Like
I lose my mind on that shit, dude. Yeah. Like for some reason, I feel like I'm weaker to like. I don't know if it was real LSD either. It could have been some sort of substitute.
Stuff was going around for a while.
And honestly, like I don't know what the synthetic stuff is. I should probably do some research, but it didn't like fuck me up or anything. Like I wasn't ill. I wasn't sick. There was no fucked up recovery. You know, I didn't like do anything violent. I didn't. I remember it all. But didn't black out. But it was just during
the process, though.
Yeah, I lost my shit, and I felt like it would be acid. You know, so it probably was LSD. I don't know though.
A lot of times people have the bad trips on the fake stuff. I remember that was going around for the longest time.
Whenever I'm on acid, like I feel like there's points where I can't stop laughing, and it gets scary. But like.
That's like shrooms.
But then like I get in this weird loop where it's like I'm laughing and I'll never be able to stop. and like how funny is that? You know, and like I start laughing more. Like, oh my god, dude.
Loop. That's the problem with hallucinants. You're gonna get yourself
like
stuck
in
that loop.
Even thinking about it now, like my eyes are tearing up. Like I'm thinking about that feeling, and it's like, oh god, it's so scary. Like you never stop laughing.
I have those.
Like, you just
I have definitely
feel
those.
insane. Like. But it's dude, it brings you to a place though that you can't get to.
Yes,
when you're sober. And your brain, like, it exercises in a way that it doesn't when you're sober, and you come up with new ideas.
Yeah, that's just how it works. I feel like is because I feel like with our and oh my god, people are gonna hate on me for saying this, but I feel like our sober brains are limited. And I still feel like that, even when that's why I kind of, that's not the main reason why I promote cannabis use. There's a lot of reasons why I promote cannabis use. But at that same note, I feel almost as if cannabis can expand new parts of your mind as well, too, give more inspiration in place. Because what cannabis tends to do on its main form is it'll take whatever tends to be on the back of your head and it'll put it on the forefront. Like it'll make it your attention. So on that aspect, you're now being able to focus on something that you don't normally try to focus on or you don't care to focus on. And that is opening new parts of your brain. That is expanding on new parts of your thinking that maybe you were too afraid to approach before. But now when you can examine it and seeing it for what its value is, you can do something with it. Rather if it's even like forms of sadness, you know, you take forms of sadness that you face for the first time, you know, like that you're feeling emotional from thinking of these thoughts. Boom, you could turn that into a poem, a song, you could story, write a script out of it. You can do a painting out of it. There is so much you can do that if you didn't face that in the first place, you would have never done it.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I always feel like, to an extent, like drug use in some aspects could be very useful, and it could be very helpful for the creative mind.
Yeah, I like to look at it like it's a window. You know, you have this huge brick wall in front of reality, right? So there's a huge brick wall, and you have a window, and you can look out this window at reality from your brain. You know, doing those drugs, that changes the size of the window. It makes the window bigger.
Not only does it change the window, but
it'll move it
from it, because now you can see in your room and through the window.
And it'll move it to the left. So now you don't see anything on the right. All you're seeing is the left side. Or like maybe it'll shift it up to where you can only see things that are up or not down, or it'll only shift things down, like to where you can only see the floor. You know, like it's like a window, you know, and drugs make the window different.
Yeah, well, so I mean, it's your perception of the reality, but at the same time, you get to get more of what's inside yourself as well too. Yeah, and that's more of the thing I'm touching on. It's more like the way I see it, based off of your window analogy, is when you're not on certain kinds of like, I don't like to say drugs, but certain kinds of hallucinants or things that open up your mind, I guess you could say. I feel like you are closer to that window, essentially. But then once you consume whatever your choice of whatever it is, it expands that window, just like you said, but then backs you up as well. So now you get to see through this window, but you're also seeing through the room you're in to the window. So now you can see everything that's inside your mind and also everything that's outside of your mind as well too. And I feel like there are ways now you can basically get those two pieces and mush them together, and you can make something out of it.
Have you ever experimented with MDMA?
Molly, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Molly.
Yes, that was my choice. Sorry, Grandma. That was my choice back in high school. I did a lot of that back in high school, but I never went to raves or anything like that. A lot of times when we did it, we just
hang out.
We would hang out.
That's cool. I mean, that's the times I've done it. The only times I've really done MDMA has been just in a, in a close setting, like by myself, or like in a close, like a small party
with people I trust,
people I know,
like that. It was
I've
always
never,
scary.
I've never gone to a show on MDMA. Like I couldn't imagine, dude.
Because I have bad trips. Like when there's someone with bad energy around you on MDMA, it makes you uncomfortable. Like it makes you like go
honestly,
away.
The first time I tried it was crazy. It was I went with my brother to a party, and it was one of his girlfriend at the time. Had a friend who was like having a kickback at their house. They were having like 10 people over or whatever, and they were gonna just play beer pong and just a regular ass chill party. And my brother invited me along. I was like, yeah, sure. And on the way, he was like, yeah, this guy has Molly. Like, you want to try Molly? I'm like, I've never tried Molly. At this point, I've only smoked weed.
Did you consume, or how'd you consume it?
Well, we got there and the guy was like, yeah, sure, it's you guys want some? It's under the bathroom sink in the master bedroom. Just there's a scale there, just weigh it out, put your money there, I trust you. And we're like, okay.
Oh my god, this sounds like a good time.
Yeah, my brother's over there. He's measuring out, like he measured it out normal, and like we were being honest because the dude's cool. Like, yeah, sure, dude, we'll be honest.
Don't F him over,
Throw him a 20 under the just in the bathroom. Yeah. So it was in crystal form. It was
in crystals. So that's what I was asking.
So we crushed it up and snorted it.
Yeah,
we just snorted it, but it was interesting because like I knew two people there. My brother and his girlfriend. I didn't know anyone else. They're all brand new people, and like it felt like they're all my best friends. Like, I knew everybody, dude.
Being real, Molly is so much. I mean, I don't know if MDMA, Molly, it's the same, essentially the same thing. But the ecstasy, when I was taking ecstasy, it was always cut.
It's always
cut with
else.
other stuff. So that's when I took when I was back in high school, I was mostly taking ecstasy.
So it's like an amphetamine as well. It's like
I took. They were like blue guns. They were like green Buddhas.
Well, it's usually just meth, like some sort of.
Well, no, I mean, no, they're not all meths. There's some of them were like opiate based. Some of them were like amphetamine.
I wouldn't
based.
want the opiate
some
ones.
Of them,
I want the uppers. Like, give me the.
They sucked. The opiate based ones sucked.
Like, I know meth has a bad name.
See, that's what they talk about, the colored
MDMA.
pills. They talk about the different colored pills because that's your that's your MD, that's your ecstasy. You got your green pills, your red pills, your blue pills, different things like that. Ones get you up, ones get you down.
Well, you can literally like research them. Like, they're registered.
F
like
that, dude.
Ecstasy.
I mean, Molly, that was probably my best experience. With Molly, you can enjoy it and not have to worry too much about the people around you, I guess you could say. On ecstasy, when there's amphetamines mixed into it, and you have someone passing out a bad vibe,
I could see that.
It makes you very uncomfortable.
No, I could see that. And like I said, like the only times I've ever experimented with this shit is like in a small setting, like with me and my girlfriend. Like hanging out, and there might be like my brother might have some friends over in the other room, like, and we go play beer pong and go back to the room and like chill a little bit, like really small, like inward kind of settings. So
I mean, I would prefer those, but they weren't always that situation based off of how we got it.
This was like, after I've already been through the Navy and everything, I experimented with drugs. It was in high school. I was very like, I'll just drink and smoke. Everything else is bad. I don't want to do it. So I stayed away from everything in high school. Like, I barely got to smoke weed in freshman year. Like, I was finally like, why not? What's the worst that could happen with weed? So I was like super straight edge all the way to high school.
Dude, that's like...
But it's just the way I grew up, I guess. I don't know.
Personally,
I was
honestly,
in Boy Scouts
that was
and shit.
a good thing, though. Like, I would have... If I could go back to high school, I wouldn't have used in high school, or I wouldn't have touched things in high school. I mean, I probably would have smoked, I probably would have drank, or whatever,
Yeah.
like same thing. But I probably wouldn't have touched the other stuff that I've touched, because as much as we wasted them. These
Just too
opportunities. It was like I was young, my brain was still developing.
You didn't know what to do
I
with
could
it.
have dedicated that time to actually my
Oh,
craft,
you wasted your
but
time.
instead I used it on taking these like we would take ecstasy and literally waste our time laughing
Yeah.
about bullshit, like not doing nothing but drive. Maybe we'll drive around, maybe we'll go to the park, maybe we'll do something like that, but we never did anything really interesting with it. I knew if I avoided all that stuff, my drug would have been my music. And I know that, but instead I used drugs instead of music. And that worked for me. It was like something that was able to get me off of my music for those short periods of time. But it was not like, if I had the option to go back again, I would have only stuck with music.
Yeah.
And not only that, I probably would have had the right friends emerge from that too. Like, it's funny because all the people that I considered brothers, all the people that I considered closest to me, the ones that I was leaving high school with, essentially, they're not friends. They weren't brothers. They were all just a bunch of people looking out for themselves. And so because of that situation, like, no one was there for each other. Everyone disbanded. And it was just, I don't know how to explain it. None of them emerged into real friends.
They weren't dedicated to the idea of the.
Well, it's just I
circle.
could have gotten better friends from if I just kept my head on track. Like, I could have emerged. I like this whole thing I'm trying to scout for now. I could have already had, coming out of high school. I could have already done that, but instead, I didn't go that route. Instead, I decided to start making music with people that had no musical talent at all, and that was just because I was friends with them, I knew them or whatever, but it didn't help me. I could have when I first moved here to Arizona, the first people I met were actually musicians, people that were into like instruments, and I ditched them. I ditched them all. Like, I stopped hanging out with them and I hung out with people that had no musical talent. And so, yeah, I mean, all in all, it makes more sense to be straight edge in high school.
Well, to be honest,
it made more sense to be.
To be honest, people with musical talent are hard to fucking hang out with sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, we're emotional
So you got to put that into account as well.
I think that was the situation as well, too, is because I'm a very emotional I'm an emotional person. And so the people I hung out with were more down-to-earth kind of people. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not what I needed. I didn't need down-to-earth. Like, I appreciate them for everything that I had with them. Like, I have love for them. I will always have love for them. But at that same time, there's a lot I could have done more instead of wasting it, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to, because I don't want to talk bad about them or anything like that, because they were great friends. They were good friends at that time, but they didn't care about the same things I cared about. And whenever I tried to motivate them to do bigger things, they hated me for it. They got mad at me for it. They didn't want me to encourage them to do better things. Like, one of them was incredibly good at like writing stories. One of them was really good at like he had an artist's mind, but he never developed it. He never wanted to work on it. Mm-hmm. And so I would help him with it, and it frustrated him. It pissed him off. It annoyed him. So it was like, that was my choice. That's what I picked. But instead, I could have had a route where I could have like met some musicians. I could have left high school with a bunch of musicians. I could have left high school understanding a lot more about music. I could have been so much further than I am now if I made those right choices back in high school, you know?
Oh yeah, everybody. I feel like everybody has those little nightmares of high school. Like, if I had just done that. But I understand the music part is so frustrating because it's such an endeavor to make a band and have these people pull together. It takes so much effort and time to get everybody to create the fucking composition that is the song.
But I could have had that if I was active at the beginning.
Dude, like, at the beginning, like, with everybody has the pure potential in high school and like.
Well, also being real, back in coming out of high school, I had more of that mindset of what most artists have, where I don't want to share. I'm the one with the talent. Yeah. I'm the one with the skills or whatever. I feel like I don't want you to get famous off of me.
That's a common wall,
whatever.
I think.
Yeah, and because of that, it showed a lot of ignorance, you know? It showed a lot of like denial as well too. Like, there's a lot of people I could have probably worked with as well that if I only just given them a chance or whatever. But no, I wanted to do things my way. And it limited myself big time because of that. Doing things my way was my biggest flaw. If I were to expand myself more, like even moving forward, when I started like hanging out with more artists and stuff like that, I could have been more involved with what they were doing. But instead, I was fixated on what I needed to do or what I wanted to do. And with that, like nothing else emerged from it. I could have created amazing songs with some amazing artists, but that never happened because of me. And I learned from it though, because now my mindset is not the same. Now, best music is made shared. I will always say that now. Best music is made shared.
If you're gonna have multiple musicians on a project, like if they're not signing away their skills, you know, if they're not your employee,
no, you want their input on it. You don't want to just say,
unless
hey,
you
play
don't.
this guitar
Hey,
part
unless you don't.
But see, that's not what I want. Like I want people to write their own guitar riffs too. Like I don't want.
You're a producer.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say. If anything, I like to just spice it up. I like to like make it more, I don't know, more presentable, I guess you can say. But if someone else wants to lay their own guitar track, hell yeah.
Isn't that technically what a producer is?
Yeah, I mean, essentially.
Composer. It's like a composer without the stick.
I mean, producer's just the one that puts the song together and makes it the song. Like,
sure, but the producer is like, we need reverb there. The producer is the one who's like,
they're also the ones that get the artist comfortable. A producer doesn't just work on the computer side.
On everything, bro.
So if you have a band with you and you are the producer of your band, you got to make sure your band is comfortable. You have to make sure that they have their needs set, their necessities set.
Well, that's your instrument.
Because your song is not going to be the best it's going to be if their vibe is not good. So if your guitarist there and he's feeling bummed about something, dude, smoke him out. Throw him a beer, you know? Get him feeling good,
that's
you know?
the way I look at it.
Dim some lights.
The way I look at it is like the producer. If anyone is listening and they're confused about what a producer does, look at it this way. It works every time. Okay? If your band is an instrument, if your band is the instrument, the guitar player is the pick, the fucking bassist is the strings, or whatever the fuck however you want to think about it. If your band is the instrument, the producer is the player. He's the one pulling the strings and pushing the buttons.
That's what I don't want to be. But I understand what that is. Like,
you have to do it if you're the producer.
Well, I mean, see, that's the thing. Sometimes is I could still produce, but along those lines, it's not pushing all the buttons because I don't want to tell the guitar player, play it this way.
It sucks.
I don't want to tell the bass player, play it this way. I don't want to do that.
Too bad.
Well, I mean, see, that's the thing. Is I don't have to. If I get a band together, I can definitely incorporate all the different minds into it.
Yeah.
If someone, for example, like you were telling me earlier about Attila, like how he was saying, hey, did you like that new drum part that I just added? And everyone kind of just like blew it off, you know?
They didn't blow it off. They heard it as natural. And they were like, that sounded great. Whatever the fuck you did, that was good.
But I mean, like, they didn't know how to nitpick it, I guess you can say. But that's what I want. That's exactly what I want. I want my drummer to say, hey, this part right here, instead of playing it like this, I bet you if I throw this kind of a fill in right here, you know, like a little off-time fill right here, it'll sound great. Do it. Put it in. Let me hear it. I want to hear that.
That's the attitude you need.
That's what I want.
That's the attitude you need.
And that's where I feel like where you're saying along the lines where the song is the instrument or whatever. If that is the case, then I want my instrument to be a little more automatic, basically.
No, you can't.
I want my guitar players to put their own, like, because he's not just a guitar player. He's a mind. He's a person. And with this person, he can probably develop a way better guitar riff than I ever can.
I'm thinking of it on, like, separate levels of strategy, right?
Yeah, if anything, I would just put whatever all these people made, essentially. So if this drummer thought of this idea, and this guitar player thought of this idea, and the bass player thought of this idea, it's my job as a producer, then, to put that all together and make it sound like something that is definitely presentable. Like something that people will want to hear.
Absolutely.
So that's more of my job as the producer.
At certain points, you have to like at least be able to put your foot down on the artists themselves or the musicians and say like, that ain't gonna work, man.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen in this song.
Definitely. I've had to do that several times. I invited this one dude
that's
over.
That's more what I'm talking about when it comes to like directing it. It's like, yes, you let the creativity shine because the artists are the pieces of your instrument. You know, if you're stifling their creativity, you're fucking yourself over.
Yeah.
You know, to play the instrument well, you have to let it ring. You have to let it do its thing. So the band has to perform like in its like essence, and then you're the one that just directs the sound. Like you guys
together.
Like I know how you guys sound and how you guys want to write, and I'm gonna direct it in a peaceful way.
So it's just smush it together, basically. Smush it together, and maybe you might need some MIDI here to develop that guitar part a little more or whatever. But yeah, that's essentially would be my job. Along those aspects, I'm not a guitar player, but I know how to play guitar. I'm not a bass player, but I know how to play bass. I'm not a drummer, but I know how to play drums. So I know in that aspect, even though I can make a song at its foundation, there is always someone I can bring on that will do it better, that will do it way better than me. Always. If I bring an actual guitar player, he knows guitar. Has way more experience on riffs that I've never probably even played before. So he will know how to incorporate things that I don't even fully understand. And I love it, and I want it. Same with drummers as well. Like I was talking about with this song Victus, this new and like. That's another thing, man. Attila, he's been commenting on a lot of my stuff. Like, he says that I make great music, and I'm all, like, thinking to myself, dude, how can I bring this dude on? Like, how could I get him involved somehow? You know, how could I get him drumming?
Just ask him, dude.
But he's just part of, like,
Just ask him.
And I don't want him to get shoved off, because I remember hearing before, I think it was part of Argonaut, I remember hearing it go out that you cannot be in any other bands.
And you know what? Ever since I joined up with Argonaut and afterwards in Cytera as well, I told him that was the dumbest thing in the fucking world. I always was against that idea, was that they should only be like committed to that one band. And I looked at them like, you guys are fucking dumb, but if that's what you want to do, like, whatever. Yeah. But like, so I was, dude, ever since I started working with Argonaut, I constantly talked to Attila about like, hey man, you should drum for another band. Like, you should help out Condemned Till Dawn.
He likes my music. Attila, if you're hearing this, like, shout out to you, man. But still, he likes my music.
Make sure he listens to this episode.
He hears it on YouTube. He comments to me on YouTube. He'll comment on my Facebooks. He'll comment on my Insta. Like, he constantly lets me know that my music is good. So I'm like, dude, you like my music, man.
I've been in a constant battle with getting that dude. I've been trying constantly to get that dude to do multiple projects. I'm always trying to get him to do more stuff because I think he's so valuable as a drummer. Like, he has such raw talent, and I don't think he sees himself in that light. And it's like impossible to show him. It's impossible to show him like, dude, you're worth so much more than what you're doing.
He's worth
like
so much more than what
he's like, but like, I don't think I'm that good. And that humbleness is like what really fucking like it catches my eye. Like, dude, you're so humble. Like, you could get way better than you think you could ever get.
I can put him in a whole new light too.
God, I wish he would just take the fucking carrot. Damn it! Like, just take the carrot until you motherfucker.
I want, because I have some great projects that I think he'd have a lot of fun with. Honestly,
and I don't think it would diminish his quality in Cytera, because like I don't think he would be able to do exactly what he's doing in Cytera, as well as putting his efforts towards other projects.
And then also it just keeps him more busier with music.
Oh yeah, man. But that's like there's a lot of musicians out there who don't take advantage of the fact that they can be in multiple projects. You can do a lot of things.
You know some people. You should help me find some members.
I could help. I could put some words out for sure. Because that's what I want to do with this podcast. I'm trying to make a network in this scene, so where people like, and not just metal, but like the entire scene, music in general. Dude, I love when genres collide and it works. Like, I fucking love that shit.
Dude,
like,
see, that's what I'm saying.
That's why I want like the whole Frenchcore and death metal. Like, I want that shit to collide. And dude, if I could get Neurotic to work with Cytera on a collaboration, that would make my life. Like, that would be so cool.
And that's what I'm saying, when you get two great minds colliding. Like, when you get some amazing people that make some amazing music, and then you put them with other people that make amazing music, and as long as they're not stubborn, like, it works, man.
Well, they will be stubborn.
Works. There's just so much stubbornness.
The part of being the manager is taking the stubbornness and squashing it.
The next problem is everyone wants to be the front man. Like, everyone wants to be the center of attention. Everyone wants to be the one seen.
That wasn't my experience.
Ridiculous.
That wasn't my experience.
It's my experience
Cytera
on a lot of
and
things. But I experience a lot of unexperienced people, so that's why. But I mean, a lot of the times when I go into an actual music field, I mean, there's a lot of people that are very happy with the roles that they play in their respective parts.
My experience was that everybody wanted the release to land in a specific way to the audience. They wanted the release to be, built up with hype, and everybody fucking listens to it and they're like, oh my god, a new fucking song. This is so cool. And it's like, you don't always get that.
Yeah.
In fact, you get that like 1 out of 100 times. Like, come on. Like, let's be real. Like, you got to release music, and it builds up over time.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't treat every song like a hit song either. Like,
yeah, not everybody is fucking Metallica. Okay, you don't go tour in Europe for your first album. Like, not everybody's Metallica.
It's happened. I mean, there's this one guy. There's this one guy.
That's why they got kicked out of Russia.
He dropped one song, and he's at almost 1 billion plays now. He dropped one song, and he's almost at 1 billion plays right now.
That's marketing.
I know.
That's marketing,
it's
man.
It's crazy. I mean, the song's great. He has some freaking talent, man. I just can't remember his name or
That's the problem with dropping one song. Yeah. You don't have a legacy. You have one song.
That is so true.
But you have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So now he's probably a producer on 7 other songs that you don't even know about.
Yeah, there's a good chance he's probably a songwriter. A lot of them start off as songwriters, pretty much. But then
you write songs for other people. You just get like 2% on a hit song. You got $100,000 right there.
Right.
Like, fuck, man, that would be a dream.
2%, 10%. You know.
1% on a hit song.
You know, if you want. Once I have more foundation, that's my next. I mean, after I get more of my artists and things like that, I'm gonna also look for management too. That's the next. If anything, that's a big deal to me is management, because there's so much about the industry I do not. That's the social aspect, I guess you can say. I don't know venues. I don't know promoters. I don't know. There's so much in the industry I do not know, so I don't know how to link myself to them. They say, oh, you can just call them, but it never works out that simple. Those few times I maybe do, they get calls all the time. So why are they going to answer your call? I mean, that tends to be my experience from it.
That's where the term agent was born. Yeah. Agents are the ones who find all the people you need. And I fucking hate that, dude. I don't want to go through an agent.
It's more the role, the manager is taking on that role lately, too. Like, management will start to find the people to connect you with for those shows and stuff like that as well. At least from what I've seen from management so far.
From what I understand, and all these terms, I feel like they're all in a gray area. But managers, their role would be like more the physical role, like scheduling, make sure people are where they are, they have what they need, they're in the mood they're supposed to be in, finances are in order, the fucking the agent has the right phone numbers, the fucking venue has the right phone numbers, the manager is the guy who's like taking all the pieces and connecting them, and like the agent,
make sure you get paid too.
Yeah, the agent is another person who's the one who's doing all the contacts, like to venues, to promoters.
God, it'd be nice to get both then.
Yeah, well, it's a different job, but it's a Venn diagram. It kind of overlaps a lot.
Truth be told, I actually know I do have connections. I have connections that are pretty well developed. The only situation is they see my content too. Every single thing I drop, I see them watching me.
Yeah.
Every single thing I drop, I see some pretty. Yeah, they're watching me. So they're not commenting, they're not liking the videos, they're not doing anything like that, but they're definitely watching me.
You gotta polish it.
So now I gotta
shiny.
Yeah, I gotta make something worth presenting. Essentially, like I can't just ask these people to take me on when I don't have anything to be taken on.
Product.
So yeah, actually that's something I do want to talk about before I actually part though, but is my new song, the Victus song specifically. Victus is the newest song that I made. It's in a lineup of 5 songs, and my next 5 songs I'm going to be dropping. It's the first one. And
so is it, I gotta ask, like, is it just you, Jesse Mackle, that's like the title?
Right now on Victus, I am the only one that did it. Not by choice, but yes.
But I'm asking, like, is there like a name for the project?
I'm Justify. So you'll be able to find me on Spotify Music, Apple Music as Justify. Okay. So cool. I mean, I already have a song on there as well. I even have a back catalog on Paradalia. So if you are interested in listening to any of my older stuff with my old group, it was Paradalia. It's like P-A-R-A and Dahlia, like the flower. But then we split up. That was the company. That was the one where I invested some money in. So now that I'm starting this side project or whatever, I made my first song, Wait For Me. That was during COVID. And that was like the darkest years of my life was during COVID. But I made my comeback, and now I'm going to be dropping these next 5 songs, Victus first, and then followed by Mr. Nolus. That's my next song, and then I'll tell the titles as they come.
Right.
And then along those lines, my main goal, even though I'm dropping them on all platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, it's going to be even on like TikTok, YouTube, everything. Even though I'm dropping it on everything, I'm not using it as a form of product to make money, or I'm not trying to promote it as a product to make money. I'm going to be promoting it as a way to develop my team, essentially.
Okay.
So every song I'm making, every new listener I get, everything that I develop is primarily focused towards finding that perfect team that I'm trying to make.
So you're just openly going about this as like the first step in your project, really?
I am starting over from scratch. It is so sad, but yes, I am completely having to start.
It's sad to you.
Straight
everyone
from
else is
ground
probably
one.
everyone else is probably interested.
But I mean, and some of them, yeah, there are people watching me, which is interesting. There are certain people that I never thought ever cared about anything I did, watching every single video I drop. And it's interesting to me.
Creation in itself is interesting.
So I do feel like I'd have a little bit better foundation than I did when I first started. But I mean, I did all this already before. Like, that's the hardest part to me, is knowing that I'm having to do it all over again. I dropped metal music. I was in a group called Speakeasy. We dropped maybe 7 songs there.
Yeah.
Then I split from there. I started doing hip hop for a little bit. I dropped like 5 songs that were rap. Ended it there. Went to productions.
5 songs is enough.
Yeah, and then I started dropping things on SoundCloud as well too. I drop things everywhere. They're just scattered throughout the internet right now. So I have a track record of music, maybe 20 songs released, probably just scattered throughout the internet right now. And knowing that I'm still having to start from the beginning, knowing I did all that, that's just the most frustrating part, I guess. But I'm hoping this time I'm gonna do it right. You know, I'm hoping this time a proper team is going to be developing from it.
Yeah.
So all my next songs, even though I'm probably still going to be dropping them regardless, I'm going to do videos of drop or nots, basically. Try to get people's opinions on if I should even drop it or not, and get them more engaged to see if they...
Yeah. I mean, I heard an interview with an artist. I forgot who it was, but he said that in a songwriting session, like, they'll get all the musicians together who are in the band, and this is like high record label type shit. This is like really top level, top tier kind of, like, you know, they write hit singles. That's what they do. He said that they sit down in a session and write like 100 songs, and they pick one.
I didn't know it was that critical, but it's something
it's like that,
yeah.
Dude. No, they sit down for the entire fucking day. It's like a 10-hour, 12-hour shift.
Yeah,
and they're just plucking out
a bunch of
melody.
Great songwriters. They'll just put them in one room and just have
like
them.
The 4 people in the band. I don't fucking know.
No, not even the band. Like, you're talking about high up.
What I'm talking about, a specific interview. Okay. The dude would sit with the 4 people of this band, and they would sit there and write like 100 fucking songs in one session, and like pick the best fucking one that they all like and say, okay, that's the one we're gonna make for the next week.
And that's how they
and
that's
like
crazy.
So every session they sit down and write a shitload of different songs, and like, okay, what's the best one? You know, which ones suck? All these suck. This one's bad. These are dumb. These are dumb.
As a B-side or something.
It's just the fact that they like sit down once a week and fucking run the engine. You know, they fucking start it up and go, right, go. Like, let's fucking do some shit and see where the creativity takes us.
If you want me to be honest, I don't think I'd ever be able to operate like that.
It's a muscle. I'm sure it's a muscle that you practice and you develop it. And if your entire life is hinged on, like, we have to write a hit song this year. No,
it's not. No, you got to write millions of songs. You got to write hundreds of songs.
Like,
there's a song that you probably won't even think is going to be a hit, and that tends to be the hit. Yeah. Like, most of the people, the songs they
over
don't
and over.
Want.
To Queen, that happened so many times to Queen. Because like their audience was so crazy and random. Like they had hit songs that they had no fucking clue.
And that's like, still happening. Like, there's these artists that are trying to promote a specific song, but it's just not hitting the same way as the song that blew up, and they're frustrated about it.
Go with it.
A lot of them, and they have to keep performing it even though they don't like it. Like, they have to keep moving with it. Like, it's crazy. It's. And what I was saying about even the songwriting too is, even higher up, those bigger artists and stuff like that, like those solo artists, they aren't writing their music. Like, obviously a lot of people know that, but even how it's done is so collective. Like, they'll sit down, like, okay, so for initially the singer ends up writing the song first, right? So she'll write down the song, maybe sitting by someone playing piano or something like that, and boom, the song is written. Then that gets transferred over to someone else, and it's almost like it's reviewed, like, okay, well, now another songwriter is going to take a jab at it, and they're going to manipulate this song, and then it goes to another songwriter, and they manipulate it, then it goes to the music side, and they manipulate it, and then and the very end product, it's not even that person's original song anymore.
No.
But at the same time, now it's co-written by so and so, so and so, and so and so.
But it's probably way
has
catchier.
all those credits. But yes, I mean, then it becomes more.
It'll stick in your head.
Correct.
After that.
Yep, that's how it goes.
That's
like,
the game.
They use because they have the best songwriters on them. Like these are songwriters that wrote the biggest hits in the world.
Oh yeah.
So they'll come and they'll revise.
Nobody knows their
lyrics,
names.
Basically,
Nobody knows their names.
They're all written. Like if you look
Yeah,
at
I mean, you
most
can look
of your
them
bigger
up.
artists and go to the
Name one.
Right now, Charlie Puth.
Charlie Puth.
He's all over the place. There's also who's that other guy? The one that co-produced for Bieber. I can't remember his name. He's big too. Like he's this bigger guy, like bigger Samoan looking guy. But he's also another big producer. He co-writer. There's Sasha Grey. I think her name was Sasha Grey. She's another songwriter. Sia started off as a songwriter before she blew up her career. Yeah, she wrote songs for Rihanna, like Diamond. That song was originally Sia's, and it was her baby. Like she loved that song, but she had to give it away to Rihanna. And so that's when she wrote
like that was so much of a big deal.
It was a big deal
giving a song to Rihanna.
But imagine your baby, like the main song that you wanted to be yours. You know, having to give it away.
I can't imagine that.
Like it hurts because when you make your product, I mean, you'll know one day. I mean, if we decide to work with you and you want to make a finished song, and we finally make a finished song, that song's gonna be your baby. Like you're gonna once it's done, once you transfer it to your flash drive, or once you transfer it to your drive, you're gonna be like, this is mine.
No.
Like this is.
You're the songwriter. I'm singing your baby.
But what I'm saying though, overall, I mean, I want to see what you can do for some of my harder stuff. I'm curious about that. Like I'm gonna
maybe.
All right, so don't hate on this because I know I'm not a Nickelback fan. But there are certain songs that I want to hit in that genre as well too, where I need a heavier voice, I guess you can say, but it's still going to be more that kind of rock, where it's not heavy rock. It's more like pop rock, I guess.
I'll try anything, man.
I don't know how to explain it, but I need a deeper voice for things like that too. Then there's songs I need screaming in, like actual full-on yelling and things like that.
Screaming. I should say that I haven't tried or practiced or really researched. So if it came down to that, I feel like I would have a learning curve to get over. But I don't know.
Going to do the screaming parts.
I don't think anything is impossible for me. So
I mean,
other than being a woman,
definitely try. But I'm actually excited to do the screaming parts. I haven't done that in almost 10 years, so I want to see how I can pull that off first. But if I can't, then yes, I'm going to be looking for a screamer. But I mean, I used to have some pretty decent screams. I have some songs on SoundCloud that I
know a few of those dudes. They've been on the podcast.
That screamed. Yeah. I need some more I need some of those more I don't know how to explain highs. Not the
dude,
the metal highs.
Kyler from Condemned Till Dawn is down to do anything. Like he is down to do anything vocal, anything collaboration.
What's his screams
that
like?
Dude is
What's his vocals like?
They're highs, like you said.
Yeah.
He's a higher screamer, but it's
as long as it doesn't have that metal sound that like that, like I don't know, it's more just I want that pure raw scream. I don't know how to explain it.
I've heard him sing cleans, and I feel like he can hit a higher range.
Like honestly, have you heard old Bring Me the Horizon? Like older.
I'm not familiar with Bring Me the Horizon.
But he's a good example of kind of screams I want. He can project those kind of screams that I'm trying to look for, I guess you can say.
All right. Well, I'll have to look up some examples, but I mean, it would.
I'm gonna get there.
Yeah,
I mean, like I said,
I might be able to find somebody who can hit that, who hit whatever you're looking for. But I know a lot of people.
But the thing is, will they? I mean, all these artists that I can find, I know I can do projects and collaborations with.
Yeah.
But I want to find more permanent choices.
Commitment.
You know? Yeah. I want to find more. Like an example, I'm like overusing this, but honestly, Attila's a great option to talk about. But Attila being a drummer, if he decides to jump to another project or so or whatever, does he gonna then spend less time on Cytera? Am I saying the name right? Cytera? Yeah, is he going to spend less time on Cytera, more on that project, or less on that project, more on Cytera? Like that's the parts that like become a little.
I don't think
more...
it's going to interfere with his role in Cytera right now. They're moving kind of slow, so I feel like he's got time. If he wanted to work on drumming, he's got the time to work on drumming elsewhere. That's my opinion. Just looking from the outside, I don't know how it's going on the inside. I haven't been there in a while, but
well, I mean, I'll hit him up. Then I'll probably definitely hit him up.
Yeah, you should definitely message Attila. I've always felt like he could do more.
He should do more.
He should. He should absolutely do more.
His choice in genres, he's not just stuck on metal. Like he likes like softer type stuff like Slipknot. He likes. I mean, calling them soft is not exactly still soft.
Softer than Cytera.
Yeah, softer than Cytera. Exactly. He likes more of that hardcore sound too. Like,
yeah,
so that's,
he definitely loves hardcore.
I am curious.
He always sends me hardcore bands. I'm like, Attila, I don't listen to hardcore, bro.
You just told me that he listens to Knocked Loose.
He listens to Knocked Loose. Dude, he loves Knocked Loose. Oh, he used to send me Knocked Loose songs. I'm like, I don't listen to this band, bro. I don't do it.
Knocked Loose is a little softer for you.
It's I don't know. It's heavier on the lyrics and vocals.
It's more focused on that rhythmic.
I'm not super into songs that are like either vocal driven or rhythm driven.
You're not gonna like my next songs then.
Hey, I can appreciate what's good. Like I can hear a good finished production.
I've already noticed.
I understand.
You inviting me on here,
but it's what my tastes are. You know, I'm not gonna listen to like fucking. What's another one of the bands he showed me? It's like really.
Have you heard? I mean, those samples of Victus overall, just the samples, right? You haven't actually heard the full song.
I mean, I've heard it. I know I've clicked on it on Facebook. It can't come to mind right now.
I'm curious because I don't know if that's really a song you're actually going to be into or not either.
I'll have to listen to it again. We'll have to
see. I'll be dropping it soon. So I mean, it's in the basically. I'm getting it mastered right now by 2 different people. One of them, I don't believe he's gonna probably give me a finished product because he's so busy himself. But if he does, that would be cool. But otherwise, besides that, I also got linked to another person that I'm going to send it to as well too, and he's probably.
Are you not happy with your own mix?
No, it's not just mixing, masters. I don't have the masters. Is very important to me. It is very important to me.
What do you want done? I can be content
with my mix.
But what do you want done exactly?
Well, for example, in the mastering, it brings out the proper frequencies that you want more apparent, while it drops more of the frequencies that you don't want apparent. And not to mention as well, you need an overall, like, a good compressor, a good limiter. Like, you're going to need some pretty good, like, decent equipment, decent plugins on your master to get a good master from your project. I mean, you don't really. I mean, technically, they always say that you should be able to get a industry standard song with just stock products. Everyone says that, which I understand. I get it, but I'm not that good. I'm not capable of using my stock products to give myself a master. I mean, I can release something better than a lot of what these people release. By far, I think my mix right now already beats a lot of these masters that are out right now. But it's not to my standard. It's not the way I need it yet.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about, I want it industry standard. Like, I want it as close to industry standard as I can get it. So that means I need those certain frequencies in that genre to pop.
You want it to be the exact loudness as every other popular song.
Not just loudness, but those dynamics need to be very apparent.
They need to match. They need to match the industry standard.
Like things like Chase Atlantic. Like for if anything, Victus. I like Chase Atlantic. I hate their lyrics. I despise their lyrics. But they're amazing at productions. Man, do they know how to produce? And they're a live band. They play guitar, drums, bass, and you would have never even known it. Like, if you listen to their music, it sounds so synthetic that it almost seems like they MIDI'd the whole thing. But no, they play. Dude plays a saxophone as well in it. Like, they're incredible at productions. And at that master level, essentially, that's where I'm trying to at least get it. Around where it sits at that level, where those guitars are still apparent, but they're more in the background, while the vocal is just as apparent, but not way too above the rest of the song, where the kick isn't overpowering like everything else.
If you got some extra time to do some research, you should look into the RX. I think they're on RX10 now, but RX10 suite by Isotope. That's a mastering plugin, and honestly, like, they have so many different pieces.
I won't be sending out my projects for mastering once I get that. I've already. It's not. What I'm trying to say is, I think it's Neuron and Ozone. Those are the ones that I'm stuck on. But anyways,
Ozone is another good mastering program. It's like a different kind of setup than Isotope, Isotope RX suite. But the RX suite has so many different, like, tiny little instruments to it, like a D click. They'll take all the clicks out of your mouth, and they like I literally use it to take the traffic noise out of this recording. Like I can reduce the noise in the background, like
and they even give you a model like of how your song should, like if you pick a genre essentially, and once you pick that genre, it gives you a model of how you need to EQ your song. And then you just basically EQ it into within that model. And then,
but one thing I'm going to be doing is going through some YouTube videos and looking up how to really utilize RX-8 in a way that's helpful for my podcast.
Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of tools I just don't even know how to use on there.
I mean, I understand the majority of it. Like I understand the majority of most mastering tools, most mixing tools. I mean, I've done this for years, man. So
then you'd probably fall right into RX-8. It's pretty easy to use.
Between RX-8 and Isotope, though. I mean, not Isotope. I mean, between Isotopes and Neuron, though. Not Neuron. Sorry, Ozone. Sorry. Ozone versus Isotopes right now. I have more experience with Ozone at the moment, and I can actually make a decent master to release through Ozone.
Yeah.
But I recently lost all that software, so I can't get it, and I don't have $400 to shell out to get another copy of it right now. So,
RX10 is like $100 for the standard version.
Damn.
So okay, I mean, I'm about to buy it. Like I want to get RX10. So that way I can really get it back into like...
I just don't know if I want to learn a whole new thing again. I mean, essentially it's all the same stuff. It's all the same stuff. Compressors, limiters, de-essers.
What I've really learned about like mastering is more for like, if you're doing like a whole album, like multiple songs, and you want all the songs to like match, and you want each song to sound similar regardless of when you recorded them.
Yeah.
That's what mastering is for.
Correct.
When you want your song to sound like your last song, but like that's where the consumer, the random person who likes your music, they're gonna hear it as like these songs match. Like that's what mastering is.
Yeah.
So it's like what are you doing for your audience? By throwing it through somebody else's professional mastering, process or whatever. Besides, like versus mastering it yourself, is the audience gonna hear it and enjoy it? Are they going to get it? A lot of the
times they don't notice the things that you tend to do differently. Like I said, there's a lot of songs that are blowing up nowadays that are not industry standards. You can hear the bass being distorted.
Well, then they're lowering the industry standard. Yeah, they're making it easier for you.
They're making it very easy for people, but that's to my own standards. I guess you can say I still wanted to hit at a certain level.
Yeah,
like
that's
I need
the
my
balance.
Frequencies to be balanced right. I need
that's the balance of balancing what your audience wants and your ego. Right?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ego.
What's good enough for me?
Eventually, but like I said, though, there will be something good enough for me once I get my hands back on Ozone again.
Absolutely.
Like once I get my hands on Ozone again, I'll relearn Ozone again, and I'll be releasing my own masters. I know they won't be as great. I know they won't probably match the last song. But you will get better as you keep working on it. But no, even at that, there's just hardware. Like actually, they've made digital versions of almost every single equipment out there in your computer. So technically, you can use all.
Yeah, and they're getting better.
There's just some hardware that you just can't duplicate. There's just some hardware that it does its best to duplicate, and it gets pretty damn close software-wise.
That's a trap.
Why? Because there really is hardware
they're trying to sell you hardware.
No, I'm not talking about people that are trying to sell me hardware. I'm talking about people I've worked with, people like things I've experienced personally for myself, seen it, where I can see where this person masters it with his peer plugins, and then he goes through his hardware version, and yes, there's an audible difference between them, not ever so slightly, but there is an audible difference, something that musicians, at least artists, will be able to pick from.
But every year, digital gets closer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By far.
When is it indistinguishable?
I mean, honestly, people will already say what I'm saying is obsolete. Like people already say, "Oh, he's full of shit." There are already plugins that are way better than hardware.
Well, I can't tell.
I don't want to devalue what anyone ever says.
Well, I can't tell.
It's hard to get a hold of hardware.
No, I can tell. I've heard the difference. At Crass, they have a lot of vintage equipment, like on the racks in the studios.
Physical equipment.
They've showed us the difference between the plugins that imitate the hardware and the actual hardware.
It almost like you get a digital versus an analog feel. It's like a feel.
Yeah, there is a difference. But it's to a consumer, somebody who doesn't make music, they don't know, dude. It's training. There's a certain amount of training.
Consumers are blowing up songs where they're distorting the bass.
They don't fucking give a shit.
Yeah, as long as it sounds good. But to me, it's still a big deal to me. Like I'm only gonna do it for so many time, like for so long though. Like I said, eventually I'm gonna get my hands on Ozone. But until then, I need to at least send it out for masters, at least try to get as close to industry standards as possible to show levels of commitment, I guess you can say, even to just show that I'm in it. Like I'm all in. Like I'm not trying to cut corners. I'm not trying to do this half-assed. I'm all in it right now. I'm every day at least 1 hour I dedicate to music, trying to make a clip, trying to make more to my instrumental, practicing on my instruments every day at least an hour. And my wife will tell you I spend way more than an hour doing it. But
that's more than most people do, dude.
But yeah, and I'm just stuck on it. Like I can't. I need this. Like I need this more than anything. So cool, the only way to show that is to keep releasing the best I can do. The best.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I release anything half-assed, if I release anything where I just don't care, I just want to release it because whatever, I just want to get it out there, people will see the devalue in it. I'll get those kind of people. I'll get the people that will also half-ass things, you know?
Yeah, that's one way to look at it for sure.
So
there's going to be the dissent, the fucking snobs that add the comments, and then the comments are public, you know, and then people start to pay attention. Like I get it. There's a slippery slope there for sure. There definitely is, but you know, there's a balance. You gotta get your shit out somehow.
Oh yeah,
you gotta get it out to the world.
It's not like I'm not gonna be getting it out. So I mean, most of my projects are gonna be coming out no matter what. It's just a matter of first quality wise, and then when eventually, like I said, when I do eventually get that money, when I eventually get the funds to be able to start mastering things myself, I will eventually go that direction.
Well, at this point, it seems like it's just education. You just need some training.
See, that's the thing is I actually do have training, a decent amount of training on mastering. Like I can probably give you a pretty good, I mean, I could probably present you a master that you would probably say, this is pretty damn good. Or I can probably present the majority of these people a master where they're going to say, hey, you can actually put this on Apple Music or Spotify, and it should be confirmed as pretty decent. But to me, again, it's not good enough. Like, I want
to hear your master compared to the guy you're paying to master. Like, I want to hear the difference between those two.
Shoot, I can do that.
I'm just out of curiosity. I want to hear it.
I can do that for you. I can make a master. I can just do one with my stock plugins or whatever.
What you've already made.
But I mean, technically, the one you got right. I mean, the one that I'm presenting, where it's still audible, it's very clear, or whatever. Yeah. That one, I rock a multi-band compressor and a limiter.
Is it just a final mix though?
But it's the final presentable mix. That's the way I present it, because I can't send this mix off to get mastered because I have a compressor, a multi-band compressor, and a limiter on the master track.
Yeah, you have to take those off to send it out.
Correct.
Though, right?
Yes. So you take them off. But so the thing you're hearing is not. But again, the thing you're hearing is still a pretty solid mix, in my opinion. And that's where I'm saying is like, I know I can just release right now. I could technically make all my songs right now and just drop them, and it's not like people would judge them any differently. But when that day comes where I get everything I need, and when they start looking back at my collection, I want them to know that I did it. I put my all into it. That nothing is ever gonna be half-assed. And I literally put my all into everything as to the best that I could do.
Yeah, well, from somebody who doesn't really make music, it's impressive. It's really fucking impressive, dude.
I appreciate that, man.
So
it's a lot of work.
It's been really good having you on. I'm really glad that I had you on, and I can't wait to hear what you come out with.
I could talk to you for hours, man.
We'll have you on for another episode then.
Well, that would be cool too. Also, come over sometime
when you release your stuff.
All right, thank you, man.